Live things and stuff happening. Red lights on. That means we're live. Whoa, it's happening, Fish and friends. Welcome to another episode. We just got done with a little pregame, a little warm up, members only. It was open to all members because I've not done a members only in quite some time. So tonight we have Mr. Dizzle, the Jig Esquire, joining us. How are you, Mr. Dizzle?
I'm doing. It's been hot out here, man. Like ridiculously hot. I think it's still like 92, 93 here. Fahrenheit, Frank. Sorry, not Celsius.
Yeah, it's okay. I'm getting used
Centigrade.
to it.
And we've got Frank. As you can see, he's a Canadian. Even though he's up north of us, we still love you. Frank helped me keep old Fudge Stripe alive. I need to do an updated video on Fudgy. He's still alive, still kicking. So, Frank, what's good in the North Country?
The bass season has opened everywhere in my province, Ontario, with the exception of Smallies in Lake Ontario. That's not until July. But I don't live next to Lake Ontario anymore, so I'm not overly concerned about it.
That's weird as hell to me, like that you have. So does each province have its own like opener then too?
Some of them don't have a closed season. Like even within our province, we have different zones. So up north, you can fish for bass all year long. In some spots, you'll be able to harvest all year long. In some spots, it's catch and release for half the year and harvest for the other half. So,
interesting. Okay. Well, we brought Frank on because he's nicer than Dizzle. We had Dizzle on earlier talking. He was just ripped. No, I'm kidding. I love Dizzle. I just hate that he's out there because now I don't get to pick on him in person. Somebody messaged me the other day and was like, "Do you really not like Dizzle? You pick on him a lot." And I'm like, dude, if you only, and I'm fricking frozen again. There might be cursing on a live stream. Anyway, no, I love Dizzle, but you should see how he talks and treats me when like the cameras aren't on. It's
my God. That's everybody knows that is 1,000% ridiculous. 1,000%.
I think there's probably a bit of give and take there.
Right. It's all in good fun though too. I mean, it's what's hanging out with a buddy going fishing if you can't give each other a little ribbon here and there, and you can't you gotta be able to have fun.
Yeah, I have one of my fishing buddies is the Dizzle to my Debo.
Oh yeah.
Except that I almost constantly outfish him. He outfishes me once a season maybe.
Yeah, that's the way it is with us, except for Debo primarily just fishes me all the time.
Unless it's jig fishing. So yeah, I even checked the background, like my task manager, to see if there's anything that was really gobbling up the old computer memory.
The old bandwidth.
The old bandwidth. Okay, so let's start. Tonight is all about frogs. I want to keep halfway on subject tonight because this is probably the best subject anybody could pick. This was from let's see, was it Braden? Is that who picked it? I think that's who it was. But frog fishing. Okay, so each of us are going to pick a frog. Each one that you pick, we can't pick a duplicate. I'm gonna share here too.
Ooh.
So really? Frank, we'll start with you. Frank, what is your favorite frog?
My favorite frog that doesn't work very well is the flapping frog from Spro.
Dude, so I was actually going to have Gramps send me a picture, but it looks like they fixed it. They took my advice, and I said you should just put a weight on the hook. They never talked to me about it. They never messaged me. I even posted pictures of it, like not working and saying this is what you should do. They just never replied. People were saying they replied to their story posts and stuff, saying, "Oh, we'll send you a free one." They never replied to me, so I don't know. I felt very invested in that frog. Like I really, really liked it and wanted it to work. But yeah, I think they just switched and put the hook on the weight on the hook.
Yeah, I'm glad to see that because I have a couple that are still in packages, and I anticipate the weight is going to fall out of them.
Oh yeah, you don't have to anticipate; they will within 5 minutes. They will fall out unless it's the new ones.
Yeah.
Let's see. Okay, here we go. Share tab. God, I am all sorts of discombobulated. Okay, so Frank says the Spro flapping frog. I agree. Great frog. worked really well. I like the durability of it, minus the weight.
What do you think would happen if you put some mended over top of that weight?
Oh, I gotta grab that. Thank you for bringing that up, Randall. I was gonna have a mended. And they're marked down. They're on closeout.
Those must be the old ones.
What? Dude, they don't have the new ones?
Don't worry, I have my my travel bottle amended right here if you need something. I keep a bottle of
your holster.
I wish I had a holster for my mended.
What the hell? Dude, that's weird as heck. There's no way they discontinued those, did they? Frog is great. Material's great.
It stands up to pike really well.
Stands up to pike really well. Yeah, they just got to fix that weight. That's weird as hell. I think Gramps said he got his off of American Legacy, I want to say. So,
ooh.
Huh. Maybe they'll just release them when like all these are sold out. Caution, don't buy these from Tackle Warehouse, I guess, if these are the old ones. I don't know. Okay. Dizzle, what's yours? What's your number one frog? Chat, I'm not ignoring y'all. Thank you, everybody, for joining. All my members, we just had a little pregame before this, so love y'all. Thanks for hopping in on the pre-show. But everybody else, thank you as well for joining. Go ahead, Randall. What is it? What's your?
I'm going with the bronzai.
The regular Squirrel Bronzai 65.
Yeah, I don't know the size of it. I just know the bronzai.
Yeah, it's the
bigger of the two. Because there's like a junior, right? Like a smaller.
Yeah, bronzai. The 65 is just the regular one. What's your favorite color in them? Should have asked you guys that too.
I
don't want to go shopping. What the hell is that?
I don't know.
For me, natural red or freak if it's a Spro.
Yep.
I would agree. Either that or
best color in the books.
Keep scrolling freak. Down. What's that one right there? No, I don't think I've thrown the camouflage. I don't know what the other right there. Yeah. No, what's the freak? What's the one with the fire tiger belly?
Leopard. This one?
Is it leopard? Yes.
It's a good one.
That would be my
I
second.
Like that one. Outback is another one of my favorites. Very natural. Looks like a bullfrog. Very bullfroggy around here. We have that greenish brown, yellow-bellied bullfrogs. That's a good one. There's one called, I think, Amazon at the top. And there's another one that I can't remember. This Amazon one I like a lot. It's a good color. It's got that kind of brighter red and yellow. And there's one more that has the markings. Oh, it might just be the green pumpkin. No, that's not it. But I like that one. It reminds me of the old Smoky and the Booyah. I don't know. There's another one too that I like. Is it the natural? No, not that one. Anyway, black, like Midnight Walker for me is probably the best bang for the buck. An all black frog. All black frog. Flog? All black flog.
All black flog.
Okay, so you guys picked two really good ones. I'm gonna have to go with. I think I'll go with the regular old Booyah Pad Crasher then. As far as like number of fish caught, just because I fished this one for so long, I think it's got to be the Booyah Pad Crasher. Durability is okay. I mean, holding up to a pike, I feel like it's maybe a little bit thinner material, but a great little frog. Used to be able to get them at Walmart for like $3.99, $4.99, something like that. Remember stocking up on a bunch of them. Night Train was my favorite, the old black and blue. And I brought my my box of frogs here. Leopard frog was good in this one. And then there is one called Old Smoky, which is the best sleeper color. It's like a grayish translucent. I remember the first time I picked it up and threw it, I'm like, this thing is not going to catch fish. And I crushed that down. That was the day with me and Dad.
I actually caught a frog on the Pad Crasher the other day. And the thing that I love about them the most is how well
again. Son of a...
Debo will be back momentarily after he throws his computer through the window. What I was saying about the Pad Crasher is I feel like the body gets out of the way so quickly, so easily. You don't have to worry about that whatsoever. I mean, like Debo said, they don't hang up or they don't handle pike whatsoever because they are softer, more malleable type of plastic, but they are pretty dang amazing.
For my first frog of the open season this morning, I put on the tackle sprinkler in camo. And
Nice.
3 casts in, we get a fish blow up on it as soon as it hits the water. I set the hook. Things are going well. I reach for my net, and it gets off. So no frogfish yet.
These are just
Jeepers.
extra random frogs. Some favorites. Another good one is the scum frog. A lot of these have fallen victim to our old
Pike.
toothy critter friends, the pike. Yeah, this is another good one. Somebody was asking me about this one. Where was that? Might have been a YouTube comment. I don't remember where that was, but
That's
the cool
Ren
thing
Dizzle,
about-
Heather.
the cool thing about these is they have the weight back here and a huge hole where the hook is, and you're thinking, oh, that's just going to take in all kinds of water. It
No,
sits
but-
like this in the water, like that.
Is it the
So, like-
tournament?
The launch, I think is what it's called. Launch series or something like that. But it sits like this.
Okay.
It chugs really easy. If you put it on a lot more slack, it kicks back and forth and walks. So somebody was saying they could only get it to chug like this. Yeah, you got to give it more slack, and then it will most certainly walk a lot better. So that was a good one.
The water just comes out of those.
Oh gosh. Okay, so besides the Booyah, this is another one that has obviously been through the mill. It's got pike teeth marks on it.
Oh, it's a
This
river to
one-
sea.
It is. It's the river to sea Booyah 2. This one has a big, huge gash in it. This is the one I was going to try to fix with Mend It on screen.
Mhm.
Because
can.
as we're talking about frogs, I was going to talk about like, okay, so first off with my frogs, we've got our favorite frogs. Do I do anything to modify them? I've done videos on that before. Some of them I'll bend the hooks up if I feel like it's a not very good hookup ratio. A lot of the frogs now I think are softer and they already have hooks that are kind of up a little bit. These are straight, but the body's a little bit bigger on this bronzeye. Like,
Can you get any closer to the camera with those, Debo?
Yeah, hold on. Let me grab a. Let me find a Booyah.
The bassless chaps, I agree. The jackal frogs are amazing. Super
all
amazing.
my Booyahs are in a different box. These are just all like odds and ends. Frogs.
You still haven't, Debo. You still haven't tried that river to sea ish frog yet, have you?
I've got one actually. Funny that you say that. So here's the size difference. Here's the ish frog. I think the regular river to sea is like a 3/4 ounce. This one I think goes up to an ounce, and it has a rattle in the back of it, which is kind of cool. There you can see it hanging down.
Yeah, I've always taken that rattle off. I just thought where we fished for frogs, it was just catching scum right
Fish
and
for
left. And there was
frogs. Can we go fishing for
used
frogs?
frogs. Oh my god,
I love you, Randy.
this guy.
Yeah, I don't have a pad crasher here. Funny enough, those are all actually in a separate box. But anyway, yeah, this river to sea Booyah 2 is another really, really good one. So, whoops, Google Assistant is not connected. Don't know what that means. Anyway, some of my will bend the hooks up if I feel like it's not a very good hookup ratio. Some of them already have like a pretty soft body. Hooks are pretty good. I don't do anything. All of my frogs, no matter what, I cut the legs to about 2 inches to just about short of the nose. So I'll take the legs up like this. You can see just right there is where I cut it. So right about 2 inches. I like my frogs to have short.
You cut them
short
straight
legs.
across or like angled?
I've done both. I don't think it makes a difference. This one, if you cut one leg a little bit longer than the other, if you can see there, it does help it walk a little easier because this side's going to have, this side will have more drag with that longer leg. So it helps it kick back and forth easier.
Cool.
But otherwise, that's about it. The river to seas are nice because on the bottom here, if you can see that there's shrink wrap tubing around the hook, which helps keep the water out of there. But some of these, like with that hole there, you can put in some BBs or even a rattle to give it a little bit more weight to cast it a little bit farther, or give it that rattle like this one had that sound. And it's not much, but it does add just a little bit. Just a tiny bit in there. So
I don't know if you've tried them or not, but somebody brought up the Z-Man frogs also. I had some luck with those a couple of times.
Fur.
Oh god, the
Actual
frog.
Yeah, actual frog fur. So this is Mr. Bass when he talks about frog fur. This is what it comes from. And yeah, these are frog fur. The only thing the Velcro up there catches. So the thought process behind this is you catch a bass, they've got that like, Velcro-y, sticky, kind of teeth. That when they bite it, this Velcro is supposed to help hold the teeth, give you a way better hookup ratio, and all it does is holds moss and duckweed and everything else that gets caught in it. So I like Fred Rumbanus. I like the Boom Boom, whatever. I don't know who makes the Boom Boom, whoever that is, but yeah, the frog I think is kind of dumb, which is crazy because he's such a good frog angler. Like I'm surprised that he would put his name on that.
Yeah,
I mean, he had to have tested that and been like, okay, this catches a lot of stuff on it. Not
you would think, right?
I don't know.
Have you ever noticed that as anglers, we always want innovation. We want something new, and then when someone tries something new, we hammer it before we even use it.
Yeah. And I try to try stuff before I talk about it. Yeah, it's the nature of the beast, man. There's been something. I know the Whopper Plopper was like that for me. So was the Teckle Sprinter.
Yeah.
Talk about another one that has absolutely hammered him for me in the past. Do I have one in here? I do.
Is it radioactive?
This guy. I do have the radioactive somewhere here. So, here. Talk about pike again. So pike will play a number on your baits. This guy is completely ripped open from the bottom, flayed. But this one has a bright chartreuse on the bottom that the pike crushed. Radioactive tail on it. What else? That's about it.
And now you're copywritten struck, Debo. Good job.
That's all right. I basically sound just like those guys. So we went over modifications. How about frog combos, boys? What are we at for questions, comments? I will have a giveaway tonight. I stopped at this stuff, you guys can't see it, but this was some stickers for members only stuff. However, all of the giveaways, they're all done. They're all done. This is how I greet Randy when I see him too. Hey, Randy. Hey, buddy. Got all my giveaways shipped out Friday. It took me almost 2 hours to get everything packaged up, shipped out, labeled. It was pretty crazy, but I got it all done. So, how about frog combos? And Feast and Friends in the chat, let us know. Stanford is who does it. Let us know in the chat if you've got frog fishing questions. I have not even looked at chat. I've tried to stay on topic here a little bit, so I'm going to go back. But Frank, I'm going to let you kick it off. What do you have as your favorite frog combo?
What I use for a proper frog, not one made out of super pike resilient material, is just a Tatula XT and a heavy. It's can't remember if it's 7.3 or 7.4, and I use a 200 Corrado with 65-pound braid. When I'm throwing something like the Bigfoot or the Flapping Frog, I typically will just throw it on my medium heavy Daiwa Rebellion and a 50-pound braid on an SLX or whatever happens to be on it at the time.
I like it. Yeah, the XTs, man, they're a good bang for the buck. Is it the old one? The old version, or have you got any?
The last generation. Yeah, the only new one that I have is a spinning rod that I bought so that I have one more because my wife has started joining me on fishing excursions this year. So.
I love it.
Yes, so do I.
Hanging with the old lady and you can go fishing. So it's a double whammy. Let's see. Bayou Burn It. So Randy and I were talking about this before. The Vega Frog is a weird one because I don't know, people have talked about it before that like I've got a couple here. There was I got bit off. That was the year the year that I used that stupid Max Quattro 50-pound and broke off on 3 frogfish. Yeah. I've actually tied up the Berkeley, the finesse version of it sucks, the Dura Braid 50-pound. I like it, man. I like it a lot. That's what I've been using. Finesse, the Dura Braid sucks. It's pretty rough. So I would say like for your heavier stuff, cool, but I put some I think it's 15-pound on the spinning rod. Pretty crappy, I thought.
Brendan's trying to get himself on my whiteboard. Unlike yours, which is for giveaways, mine is to keep track of all the things I have grudges against people for. So if you say an unkind thing about poutine or me or Canada, like Brendan did, then you get a little tally mark. And I keep track of that so that when I'm emperor of the world, I can exact my vengeance.
It's like what's the Adam Sandler movie where Steve Buscemi's putting on the lipstick and he's like
Billy Madison.
That's Billy Madison.
Billy Madison, yeah.
Crosses him
Boy,
off.
am I glad I called that guy.
Yeah. Yeah, you can put me on the list because I absolutely hate Canada because of their shipping. So yeah, Canada shipping and stuff sucks. It's horrible.
I'm super bummed out. I haven't.
In Canadian dollars, you don't pay a Canadian company, you pay USPS. So clearly, they're the ones with the sucky shipping.
Yeah. Fair enough.
I'm really bummed out. I've never had poutine before. Just saying.
Dude, it's so good. Well, you've never had it before?
I don't.
Our versions?
No. I want real.
Dude, I can make you some B's and G's poutine. Fries with B's and G's and cheese on it. Oh my god. Okay, we're off topic. Anyway, 6 cents Vega Frog. So if you compare the 6 cents Vega Frog to, let me grab one of those other ones. Where did I just put all those? I literally just have. We'll do this one. The Scum Frog, and I need to go get Mindit. So if you look at it, compared to most frogs, that's definitely a longer frog. This is the 6 cents Vega Frog. It's a long, skinny frog, and I tell you what, the walking on it is amazing. It walks back and forth great. 2 things I don't like about it. One, they've glued the hook hole here. And this is something I never, ever hear anybody else talking about, but the ability for the frog to turn. So once you get a frogfish on, the body of it here, without ripping this all up because this one's jacked up, the ability of this body to turn. So a lot of times when you catch a frogfish, the body will be turned over. Legs are all caught in here. The body will be turned over and the hooks will be up like this, right? And you've got all this room to have a fish's mouth in, the jaw, right? There's a number of frogs, and maybe it's coincidence, but I feel like I do not have as good a hookup ratio because if you look at this, that's it. This body doesn't move out of the way. That's all that you've got for hookup room is right there. Now, maybe it doesn't make a difference on bigger fish. People have talked about, we've seen, Milliken, some of the other 6 cents guys catching big fish on these. So maybe it's a big fish thing. Like when they completely inhale it, it doesn't matter. I don't know. It's something I've observed that frogs that tend to roll out of the way like that from the hook, I feel like I have a better hookup ratio. So maybe it's in my head, but yeah, this one, even though maybe that's not even the deal, but I still feel like I've had a horrible hookup ratio on this, but it is one of the best walking frogs. Now, I'm sure you could bend the hooks up more. I mean, the hooks are already kind of bent up. If you can see that they're already kind of sticking up straight from the body like that.
There's another terrible frog option in the comments here from Lee.
I'm way behind. I'm at
Terminator
749. Oh yeah, I think we might have got a bad run because people talk about that one. Again, it was one of those that walked really good, but both the Terminator frogs that I bought, and it was around the same time as Dizzle, the hooks were absolute garbage, not sharp. I had to take a file to them; they were so dull. Bad.
Like there was no way that was going to poke through a wet paper bag.
Yeah, it was horrible. Somebody asked about the ribbit frogs. Yes, these are great little frogs if you've not fished these. Mm-hmm. This is kind of a different deal from your soft plastic or your hollow body. This is a soft plastic. So this is just like a worm or anything else that will rip. It's not the Z-Man stuff, but you put a little, I like the 2-prong hooks. I don't think I have them here. I can grab one when I get up.
Those like and
frog hooks.
What's it? This I think Strike King makes one, like a Rage Toad.
Yep, the
Rage
Rage
King
Toad
makes a Rage Toad. Those are really good. They like the kicking action. Obviously, with any type of rage stuff, they just go crazy, but they're amazing.
Jones and Two Fish. Great point, dude. It's a frog stream. I will give away some braid and some frogs and some toads and stuff. So it'll be a frog themed giveaway. And the winner can tell me if they need braid or not. I know that's kind of a thing that a lot of people are kind of
none of that Quattro.
Yeah, I'll give you some nice Max Quattro 50 pounds. Let's see. Love the Jackal Kiara. Canadian frogs are scented with maple syrup. Do you scent your frogs with real maple syrup?
I do not.
That's why you're not catching them on them.
I'm not catching them on them because the season just opened.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, that too. Let's see.
So
What's more
Rand
fun?
Dizzle, are you glad that Randall Pink Floyd has someone else to pick on tonight? I don't think he said anything new yet.
Damn it, you just cursed me.
He'll throw something
That's
in there
funny. Right. I would laugh a lot if he just came back with something like super nice towards me. Just like the total opposite. Oh, anybody tell you how nice you look today? Type of
Your
comment.
beard is fabulous today, Rand.
Nice and brindle.
Ooh, hey, Randall Sully, question: which frogs won't you use? I think we've kind of touched on that just a little bit right now. I mean,
yeah, I mean, I don't care for the 6-inch one just because the hookup.
Right.
Kermie Frog has been kind of hit or miss for me too. The Bass Pro one.
The Bass Pro one. I feel like that kind of has the Terminator type of hook situation for me anyway. Thank you.
Oh,
Mr.
here's a
Pink
horrible
Floyd.
one.
I love you too.
These were on sale. They looked really good.
Geez.
The live target sunfish things. They looked great. Like when you look at it, like it looks definitely like a sunfish, and you'd think, yeah. But the weight is kind of dumb on it. It doesn't walk at like, I don't know. Hookup ratio on it was horrible. Just a bad design.
You did have that giant blow up that one time though.
I did have a giant, I believe it was a wiper. A giant wiper blew up on it, and it was an absolute megalodon of a fish, and I missed it.
On the worst day of fishing, one of the worst day of fishings we've ever had before. It's just like massive blow up, and we were making fun of it and all that stuff. And
here's another tip. So talk about modifying. So I pick on lunker hunt enough. Actually, hold on. I think I set a box aside too. Maybe we'll do 2 giveaways. This has my address on it, so I'll have to edit it. This was a different monster bass box I was looking through. I had one. Did I save it? Oh, it wasn't these. These are random things I put together. Okay, well, I've got... Maybe we'll save that for another. I've got a lunker hunt box that Monster Bass did, and it was not my favorite. But I will say, lunker hunt frog, they have the stupid little like plastic legs back here that aren't skirts. They're like little legs that are supposed to, dumb as hell. I don't know what lunker hunt's doing on some of their things. However, this was a tip I learned from Jacob Wheeler. He was fishing around a bunch of brush and trees. Shad were going off. He cut all the skirts and everything off his frog and made it like a little froglet to look like a little shad. I did that with this one and had excellent luck. And the frogs, the lunker hunt frogs themselves are actually really soft, and the hooks are already pointed up, and they're super sharp, sticky sharp. So as much as I pick on like the stupid lunker hunt spider and stuff, the frog, once you cut off the legs or replace the legs, it's actually a solid little frog. So
what? I know you hated the legs on those frogs.
Oh.
The best luck I've had with them is using them when I know that pike are about, because they're cheap and I don't care if they get shredded. And I find that the retrieve that works for them is just take your rod tip, pull it forward 6 inches, 12 inches, 18 inches, pause, because the legs stick out behind, they flap a little bit. It looks like an actual frog swim. And I just keep doing that. No popping, no chugging, no porpoising, just pull, pause, pull, pause, pull, pause until I find the cadence that they like, and I would get lots of bites. And like I said, if a pike came and bit it off or shredded it, it didn't matter because it was cheap.
Yeah, very I don't get it. I could fish with like a $10 frog all day long, or not even all day long. Like third cast, I'll freaking chuck it into a tree. I find a lunker hunt and I could fish that thing all day long, catch 97 pike on it, and it doesn't have a nick.
Yeah, dude, the cottonwood season when all that cotton starts falling in the water and you're trying to fish a frog, it's absolute hell pulling all that little white stuff off your
it's
braid.
Horrible.
It's awful.
You experience much of the cottonwood season up north, Frank?
Yes. We do get the nasty, gross stuff that clogs up your guides, and your cast stops 15 feet out in front of you because the line can't go through it.
Yeah, I noticed like
it's no good.
Exactly. My biggest thing is there's like the little pieces that you don't even notice coming through the eyes.
Yeah.
And if you're not paying attention, you're just fishing, casting, doing the whole thing. next thing you know, you have this clump of like somehow specialty not tied together with the braid line itself, and you got to sit there for 10 minutes trying to pick it all out. That is the worst.
The thing that is the worst for me about all the little white fluffy bits is when they make it all the way through the guides and into the spool. And then I get distracted and I spend more time trying to pick it out than fishing because I can't stand looking at it.
Okay, so before we get into a couple of the other gear questions, I did want to show the reason why Dizzle has pursued the Mend It sponsorship. Dizzle uses it as, if you got a flat tire, you can mend it. If you're out of dishwasher detergent, you can put Mend It in there and it cleans your dishes. You can use it as hair gel. A number of different. I'm kidding. Please don't do any of those things with Mend It. But one of the things it does really well is fixing soft plastics in this. So you can see there's a big hole in this guy here, right? So I'm going to show you. Mend It is a way to repair these that actually does work pretty well, and I'll show you here. It comes in like a little glass bottle.
Yeah, while you're doing that, Debo, the one thing that I have noticed is when you're trying or doing any type of repair, especially to a frog like that, you got to go outside of where just the cut is, obviously. It's like if you're going to duct tape something, you want to go a little bit past where the cut is on all sides of it. And even with Mend It, I always go in and I usually hit it with 3 or 4 different applications.
That's what I was just going to say. Yeah, you can see the cut there. And yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say too, is I do multiple layers over it. I got some on my finger. So we'll let that dry for a little bit, and I do multiple layers. So do one, let it dry, do another one, let it dry. If it's a soft plastic in here, I think we showed that one night with Dizzle.
Yeah,
I don't know why, but I've got a bunch of, dude, look at this. I've got a bunch of random plastics. That's a 6-inch. That's a donkey of a Senko. Anyway, yeah. So there we go. We're ripping it in half just for purposes, but it does put your plastics together basically as brand new as well. So I just put a little bit on each side. And I'll even glue it together opposite sides so they don't match. Let's see, it's a green pumpkin watermelon, so we'll do it backwards.
The only bad thing with soft plastics is you do kind of got to hold on to it a little bit longer.
Yeah, I'm going to put it over here where it can set together.
Yeah, as long as you don't mend it to the table. I mean, if that happens, you just got to throw the table away.
That might. So I should have thought about this. I should have cut it straight because now that I've done this, it's at a weird angle. It's definitely not going to be a straight Senko any longer.
Well, it'll still show.
Okay, just to show. And I don't know if it's like some sort of thermal process that molds these together or what, but okay, I'm gonna do it the right way. It's torn at such an angle that I can't. Okay. All right, so we did that. What else? I was going to say something else. So we're doing the Mend It. Oh, gear is what we're on. Okay. So Frank, what was your? Did you say? So you said the XT Tatula XT rod. So good rod.
Yeah,
how about reel?
Not the reel? Not the frog rod, just the heavy. It's it's not so broomsticky. I find that I can throw smaller frogs, bigger frogs, whatever frog, and still get a good hookup. I don't pull it.
Is that rated for 1.5 ounces?
Fish's mouth. Rated up to 2, I think.
Why did my?
But I can't remember for sure.
Yeah, most of the heavies are up to like 1.5 ounces that have a decent tip bend. I agree. You don't want it crazy heavy. Now, if you're like in Okeechobee or somewhere where it's insane, absolutely, that's kind of a different deal. But I think for the most part, if you're not in super duper crazy heaviness, I don't know if it'll be different with the new release too. Let's see. Did I skip them? Oh, there we go. So is it the 7.3 heavy? That one's up to 1.5 ounces, or the 7.4 heavy?
No, 7.4 heavy, up to 2 ounces.
So up to 2 ounces. Okay.
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah. So I usually go with like a regular heavy up to 1.5 ounces, 2 ounce, whatever you're kind of comfortable with. But most of the heavies you'll find are that. But I like to find that like kind of fast to more of a moderate fast, like Frank was saying. So it's not a broomstick. If you have a little bit more tip give, if you can see my hand down here just barely, a little bit more of that tip give, you can really load that frog and throw it where it's not as stiff. What's going on here? Chris is blowing me up here. Did Chris just catch a 5-pounder? So Chris is not only watching the stream, but he just caught a 5-pounder with the storm going off. This doesn't show his number, does it? No, I don't think so. Just caught a 5-pounder in the storm. Good job, dude. And watching and listening to us. What a trooper. Okay, so Rod, what'd you say for real? I'm sorry.
Hey, real quick, Debo, I gotta pause my end here. I'll be right back.
Okay. Good luck.
All right. Yep.
For real?
Corrado.
Oh, Corrado. Okay. Yep. Solid pick. So that's what I grabbed here. For me, a big thing with the reel, especially if you're frogging in the pretty heavy stuff, and I mean just like heavy vegetation, not necessarily like crazy heavy big bass and stuff, is a reel that has an aluminum frame and an aluminum side plate. This is the older Corrado series. This is the older E series. Does not have an aluminum side plate, the handle side plate, but for whatever reason, they're just super sturdy reels. And if you get a graphite frame reel, graphite handle side plate, you can feel that flex, that kind of twist in the handle as you're reeling something in through all that thick slop and stuff. It's got a little bit of play. That's a good way to burn up one of those reels. I'm not saying that graphite frame reels are bad. However, I use them usually for like treble hook baits or stuff where I'm not going in the crazy heavy stuff. At least an aluminum frame on your frogging bait caster. If you can get one with like a Daiwa Tatula 150, for example, is a really good bait caster, or like the Corrado. Anything that's got enough line to hold. So this is a 200 size reel, meaning the spool is bigger inside. It has more of a line capacity, because when you put that 65-pound braid on, or 50-pound braid, I don't go below 50, the line diameter is larger. So like, let's say you had a regular Lose LFS, which is I think 110 yards of 12-pound mono is what it'll hold. Once you put that larger diameter braid on there, it's going to hold less. So maybe like 75 yards, 80 yards, whatever it is. I don't know off the top of my head, but I had like a Revo X with 65-pound braid on it, and I could spool it casting a frog, get all the way down to the bottom of the spool.
That was the problem I was having with the SLX XT.
Yep.
I was having to stop my frog so it didn't break my arbor knot and send it all to the braid and the frog flying off into the pond.
Yeah. And that might not be as big of a deal if you're fishing from a boat. Obviously you can, position yourself, but from the bank, yeah. I want not only a frog that I can cast a mile, because there's certain spots I can only get to. Like I might have only a couple spots I can fish. So being able to launch that as far as I can, frog is one of those things where I'm trying to get distance. Where was I going with that? So launch it as far as I could, and something else. I don't know, I lost my train of thought. Damn it. But anyway, yeah.
It's probably my fault.
No, that's all right. Launching the frog. Okay, so I was going to show you here real quick. So just for example, if you're looking at stuff, and companies can kind of be misleading. It kind of pisses me off when companies do that. When you're looking at reels, I wish they would make it like a lot easier to tell, or just like always put it. And I know they don't like to put it because, like, for example, let's just see this one. So this is a graphite. It's actually a something carbon deal, but it's a graphite carbon frame. But they'll say, like, when you start to go to specs, it'll say carbon concept.
I'm back. Sorry. Are you wanting to share also? Just FYI.
Oh, piss. I thought I was. Thank you. Mm-hmm. Frank, you had one job. Supposed to make sure I'm sharing when Dizzle's not here. Oh, that's all right. I'm just teasing you. Oh, I was presenting. What the hell?
No, you're not.
There we go. No, I was
there.
not.
You are.
Okay. So like, for example, when you look at this one, so I went to the Daiwa CC. I've got one of these great little reel. I've used it for moving baits. I've used it for topwaters and stuff. $70, but when you go to look at it, again, carbon concept frame and side plate. And I like they put both. So okay, it's a graphite carbon frame reel, not going to be the most durable out there, right? But when you go to something like the Tatula 150, which is a great frog reel, or a Tatula 200, both are great. These have gone up in price. These used to be $150, which kind of sucks. Why does that stupid thing keep popping up? Now they're $180, which kind of stinks, but look for them on sale. But these will tell you as you're going through it, aluminum frame and side plate. And it's always going to be the handle side plate when you see this. There's not torque. There's not any any sort of power that's really going on this non-handle side, the side that you're just cupping. It's this side when you're really torquing and grinding, this side plate will torque and move. And I've burned up bait casters. And listen, I don't catch 10 pounders every week. I'm catching, pound and a halfers, right? 2 pounders. And I've burned up some reels on that. I'm going to put another
or
layer
snapping
on the
handles off.
Stick bait. Yeah, or snapping handles off. Yeah, that was actually a Daiwa. That was my fault, though.
Didn't you bend it?
Yeah, I bent the handle, and then I had to end up replacing that.
Hooks.
And it stripped the...
Did I freeze? Oh. Did Debo? Nobody froze.
No? What?
You froze for a second there, Dizzle.
Okay, so I'm just putting another
we
layer
drink
on
when
here.
Dizzle freezes.
Yes, drink when Dizzle freezes as well. Take a drink. Okay, so anyway, that's the reels. Find a reel. I mean, I know everybody's got their preferences. That's just kind of me. So find a reel that's, one, got enough line capacity, and two, if you can afford it, at least an aluminum frame. I like to bump up to an aluminum handle side plate if you can afford it. If not, all good. Stay within your budget. Don't go out spending a bunch of crazy money. Stay within your lane. Okay, how about lines? So Frank, you said 50-pound. What's your braid of choice?
I typically use either J Braid or Power Pro.
Okay.
And on the dedicated frog rod, the 7.4 heavy XT, it's 65. And if I'm throwing a flappy leg frog of some sort, that's when I'll use 50. Just because I am typically not throwing it in as heavy of a green situation with the flappy guys.
Okay. I think I need to back up a step here too. Randall, did you give us your frog and combos? I think I skipped you. I think we got jumping around our questions. So Paul's got a good one here.
I had to run. I don't know what I think it's the Abu Garcia Veritas. It's like a
that was a good one. I think that's one I gave you.
7.3.
The frog special.
Yeah, you did. Yep. And it was heavy. It's just a great feeling rod. It's one of those. See, I have this problem when I frog fish. I tend to just really just grab a hold of the reel for whatever reason. Usually because my hands are wet from pulling gunk off of there and all that stuff, and letting the frog relieve itself and what have you. So my hands are usually wet, so I feel like I have to hold on tighter. And for whatever reason, the ergonomics of that rod just feel really, really good in my hand. I was also trying to look up what Abu Garcia reel I have on there, and I couldn't remember what it was. And it's been like since last season since I used it. It was... God, I can't even remember what Abu it was. But the only bad thing about it is the spool is pretty shallow. So I feel like if I have one break off or one cut off, like I'm pretty much screwed. I'm down to the back in every other cast without the speed spools on there, and that's never good,
Yep.
And a lot of places that we've fished before, like you said, you got to bomb it out there, and if you don't bomb it out there, you're not going to get to the spot where the fish are. And right. I just don't feel comfortable with that backing down there. But besides that, don't like showing the backing. I've started using one of my Corrados for frog fishing. Seems to be holding up well. Debo, I think we talked about this maybe last week. That Abu, the white one that we both have, that one's got Veritas. Is it a Veritas? The reel?
Yeah, the reel. No, Veritas is the rod. Sorry.
Yeah. What is that reel? And it is.
I don't know. We can look here.
Graphite, right?
So that's a good point that we were just talking about. Yep, I can share here. So, yeah, we were just talking about durability and a graphite frame side plate. So, Randy, go ahead and share what experience you had.
If you can pull that up, I don't know if you can find a picture from the bottom, like where the reel or the rod seat is. But so where the rod seat is, where it connects right where the handle is. Wait, go back. Oh, God. It's so just the opposite of that, where The handle is on that right-hand side or left hand now that he flipped it over. Stop moving it. Oh my God. Okay,
it's like a jackpot. Say when and I'll stop on a picture.
Stop.
Okay, that's the one you
said it like, okay. So on the very bottom there, so this is the top down looking view. But if you were to flip that over, 180 degrees, where the side plate connects with the actual black piece there, so the white and black come together. On the underside, when you're reeling it, because it is graphite, right?
Correct. Yep.
So if you get a good hook set or you get a hard hook set, there's a little bit of play in between that side plate and the actual rest of the reel.
Between the frame and the handle side plate.
Yeah. Yep. So there's not enough where I stopped using it, but I noticed it once and kind of is conscious of it when I went to set any other hooks with it. But that's one thing I have noticed as compared to the other ones that I have used. As far as line is concerned, Power Pro pretty much 100%, 65 pound, or 50 if I can't find 65. But with where I fish, there's so much of that gunky, gross, just line shredding type of vegetation that you got to have something strong to pull through there.
Yeah, so I've been using, do they have the rocket version? Is it just down in here? Oh, yeah. So this is what I've been using for frogging this year, and I've really liked it. This is the Revo SX Rocket. So it's the fast version of the Revo SX. The handles, hands down, bar none, best handles on the market right now. Love the new handles that Abu did. They're long. Like the actual handle piece, the piece that you grab onto is long, and I love it. I love a big knob to grab onto. Like, get a good solid purchase on it. I should probably reword that. But
yes,
hey,
it flares out at the end, right? It flares out.
It does not. It's kind of almost more. Well, here I've got some. I can go show you one in person here. But I did want to say this one feels great. And if you look, like I said, I mean, it depends on fit, feel, and finish. But this is an aluminum frame, but still a graphite side plate. Haven't had an issue with it. But again, at least that aluminum frame. So
I did notice on that Abu that we both have, Debo, that I was using, some of the screws were a little bit loose. So I went in and tightened those up just a little bit. I don't know as if that's just, I had it in in the actual box it came in, and it was in the trunk of my car for a little while before I pulled it out and, hooked it up with line and put it on a reel or on a rod. But it could have just been from a little bit of rattling around and stuff like that. But I tightened those down and haven't really noticed it since then. But I also don't think I've pawed anything since then on it.
So there's the difference. That's the old Corrado 200E7, which kind of, has a little bit larger knobs than the regular K now. And you can see the size difference. So the new Revos, the actual knob piece here is a lot longer. You can see quite a bit. I mean, you can really get a good purchase on it when you're grinding, pulling them in. Really like it. The new Revo series, they're pretty slick. I've got some reviews coming.
The cast of the day needs to stop distracting me with South Park quotes. Well, South Park adaptations.
Gotta have fun with it. Gotta have fun in here while we're talking frogs. Okay, so Paul said Halo's selling off the rest of their Blackwood rods. I've not used that one. I have used a couple Halo rods, solid sticks. I like them. But he said for $59 in heavy. So I don't know what the exact specs on that one are, but I will say one of the few rods where you do not need to spend a bunch of money is frogging. You want it to be durable. I personally do not like micro guides. I've been using the Monster Bass one. Monster Bass obviously sent me a few rods to try out. Love the rod, except it's got micro guides, and I hate that for frogging. To me, that's a big miss. They could have switched at least that one, maybe. Maybe it's just me, and I'm going to get into another question here, but I hate micro guides for that. Now, if I'm just like throwing regular fluorocarbon or mono, don't care. But once you start getting gunk and stuff on it, I've had with micro guides, okay, we'll pretend this is the tip, right? You're bringing in stuff, and you get so much gunk up to the tip as you're reeling in that you literally can't reel. And as soon as you give them any sort of slack in that slop, they're gone. So that's like frogging. I'm not looking to play the fish. I'm hitting them as hard as I can with that hook set, and I'm grinding into me as quick as I can, because
forcing it as much as possible.
Yeah, one of the few times I want to horse it as much as I can, because when you've got all this vegetation here and they take you down in it, the line's doing this and you're pulling against all this vegetation now. You're not just pulling against the fish. You know, you can fight a fish in open water on 2-pound mono, right? But once you get them down into that stuff, it's all of this that you want to get them turned and moved, because then you're pulling the pads and everything else. And then this back here is all loose because you're pulling up here on all this stuff. Horrible graphics there that I could show you if any of that makes sense of my.
Yeah, I also feel like. Right. I also feel like, you know, that going along the same issue of whatever hand dances you were doing, Debo, like the weeds are almost like pushing more against the fish, which is making even more slack, like you were just showing, and it's like helping the hook come out. And, you know, because you are doing such a harder hook set, there's times where, you know, you get maybe a little bit over penetration into the fish, and there may be a little bit of more than just like a pinhole in the fish's mouth. So, you know, you have that extra openness there as well.
Yeah, where it can cause a much bigger entry wound, I guess, with the hook into the mouth. Yeah, where it's got more room for the hooks to fall out, as opposed to if you're using a real light wire hook. Hook goes through and you can't even see, there's no space around it. It goes straight through, and it's just, again, horrible analogy there, but there's no room. Whereas sometimes when you set, you know, you can kind of tear that soft tissue out there, which has no feeling from what I've been told. It's just a cartilage, and no feeling.
Hey, what layer are you on that frog?
I think that's 4. I'm going to let it rest here, and then I'm going to show you all here in a second. So, Paul, I will say you don't need to spend a lot of money on a frog rod. I was actually going to show you all one of the first frog rods I ever bought, and has still to this day been one of my favorite. It was one of the old versions of, funny enough, Abu Garcia. It was the Vendetta, the black and red ones.
I love that. Was my jig rod for forever.
Yeah,
and then I broke it.
$89. They used to be cheaper than that. I think these went up, but it was a 30-ton blank for an $80 rod is pretty damn good deal. I think Walmart had them on sale.
They were right in that area.
I want to say Walmart had them on sale for $50. I feel like I scored an absolute goal when I got it for $50, but you can get, I think it was a 7.4 heavy is what I had. Must have been a 7.3 unless they've changed it. 7.3 heavy. Whoops, here we go. Rated up to 1.5 ounces. Again, pretty common. Says it was a fast, but it was a little bit softer. So if you're looking for a good budget rod, that's one that I've used. Boom. I don't know why.
Is that the one that had the not weird or crazy, but it had the indentations for your fingers, like more onto the foam part by the reel housing or the reel sitting?
No,
you know what I mean?
that was. Did those have it? I don't want to say it was them. Maybe it was those old ones. I don't remember now. Could have been.
I want to say it was, but yeah, there was like an extra. So you had your trigger, and then there was like 1 or 2 behind that.
In the foam, like in the EVA.
Yeah.
I'd like to take a little detour, hopefully short one.
Detour it up, Frank.
All right. Rods, buying them online. You probably pay flat rate shipping. So are they still less expensive than what's available in the stores around you, or do the stores around you not have the rods you want, and that's why you order them?
Yeah, I'm a hermit, and I don't ever go out really unless it's like fishing. So for me, it's ease, but also, like the places around here, I don't have good like local tackle shops like Dizzle has. So it would be like Shields or, kind of the big brand stores. I would just rather order it online. But
right,
like a DSG or something like that. I'm just the total opposite. I don't really want to buy one or spend money on one if I can't put it in hand first.
Yeah, I'm the same as you, Dizzle.
Yeah, I mean, I want to because, I mean, we've talked about this to extreme ends, but nobody's medium heavy is the same as the next guy's medium heavy or whatever. So for me, it's like I got to be able to feel that. I mean, I went out and bought a a heavy, and it was like you said earlier, it was just a full-on broomstick, and it was the worst thing ever. And it's like I don't even want to throw this thing, even for frogs, just because half the time it's just like straight down in front of me splashing.
Awesome Aussie Cat. This is something that's been brought up to me a number of times, and I guess I'm kind of surprised by the number of people that do this. Somebody said they saw a video of somebody like saying it was really good to do, or that's what they did, or whatever. So Awesome Aussie asks, so for your line, braid to mono, or straight mono? So I am 100% straight braid. I don't want any sort of stretch or give. Like the thing, I suppose if you're in, okay, so here would be the only condition where I would consider it and say, okay, it kind of makes sense, is if you're fishing like 100% open water on like the edges of reeds or grass where you're not hooking the fish and bringing it back to you through anything. If it's open water, I could see mono. I could see mono on like a smaller, I don't really have a good example. Like the launch actually would be a good one because the body on this is super, super soft. And with this one, I will tell you that the hooks are already pointed up. So this is not the most weedless frog. Like I got this caught on the edges of reeds and stuff. Like the hooks are already there. So I can see that with mono because you're getting the direct hook set. But for me, like when they bring it down into the slop and I'm trying to winch them out, I want braid. 50 or 65 pound braid, and I usually err on the side of 65 just because why not? I mean,
the only time I use mono for topwater stuff is if it's topwater with treble hooks.
Absolutely. So yeah, when you talk about braid to mono, anything where I'm walking or moving the bait, kicking back and forth, I've always got a mono leader on because that mono is stiffer. So I'll go with like a 14 or 17 pound mono. Only, a couple feet is all you need, but that mono sticks out. It's more, what's the word? Sticky outy, rigid, I guess.
Rigid.
more rigid. So the line sticks out as you're walking it. It's this way. Whereas braid is so limp, as you're walking it back and forth, that braid will kind of kick back on the lure and grab that front treble. So I think that's kind of what Frank is saying is. Sorry. I'm sorry. Yeah, otherwise straight mono. I honestly am not a huge braid to leader guy unless it's my spinning rods. If I'm doing like a walking bait pop or anything, I actually prefer straight mono then. But again, a treble hook, I mean, if you look at the differences here, a treble hook getting through a fish's mouth on a 50-yard cast versus that big old Goliath of a hook, right? Two way different hook sizes, so... I don't, just me. There's not a right or wrong way to do it. There might be people that are using straight mono and the thick stuff and having success. 2 + 2 doesn't always equal 4 in fishing. So if it works for you, by all means, keep it up.
So I know for me, Debo, I actually wanted to tell you, I don't think I've told you this yet. We've talked before when we were out fishing. Like I have zero confidence when I'm fishing like any type of open water when it comes to a frog. However, I did the other night catch an open water frogfish.
Oh, I was very
excited about it. And right after that, there was a like a 13-year-old kid that came up to me and he's like, "Oh, this is the first fish I've ever caught. Can you help me take the hook out?" I was like, "Sure, little buddy, I gotcha." And I handed him the fish. I handed him the fish and he grabs it like this in its mouth and he's like holding it. It's like, it's a dink for sure. But I'm like, it's not going to hurt you, man. Just, throw your hand in there, do whatever.
Did you tell him that? You're like, "Oh, good catch, buddy. That's a dink, you idiot. Why don't you go catch a big fish?
Do better, you nerd." And I kicked him. No, I didn't.
Open water frogs, it's not a proper frog, but the bronze shad is great in open water with that V shape. It walks really, really well.
I don't know what it is. I mean, I'll throw a pencil bait or
speaking of friends, see that wound? This was the day that I was throwing. I caught multiple fish, had a break off on a huge blow up, and then a turtle got it. If y'all remember this video, I haven't thrown this frog since. I've probably been 3 or 4 years ago. And I had that snapping turtle that kept coming up after my bait. That was insane.
Was that wasn't the one like that one awesome lake that was frog heaven that you caught a catfish on a
No,
on a
different one.
dove? Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, real quick, if we could just rewind just one quick second as it relates to rod in hand versus ordering online. Skinny Guy Fishing brought up the fact that he's like, "Oh, you ever see what the kids do to fishing rods at the stores and things like that? I'd way rather buy them online."
Mm.
Yeah, exactly. So one thing Debo actually taught me, and I try to do it every time I go out to look, to buy a new fishing rod, is take a Q-tip with you, just at least to check the eyes. Run the Q-tip around the guides and see if there's any
That was
snags
actually a
or
tip
anything
from
like that.
Tackle Junkie. I can't take credit for that. That was Mr. Jim,
Ah,
Tackle Junkie himself, who has 17,000 rods more than I do and more gear. We all know he's the real junkie, but he showed that tip, which is a good tip, because I went to Walmart and was trying to buy one of the Shimano. Which one is that? It's the Kayas, the Shimano Kayas combo, which they used to have for like $98. Really good combo too. But it took
weren't
me
they
like
doing?
7.
Wasn't it It was the tag, wasn't it? The tag that they were
That,
putting on there.
that was the lose one that they didn't take the frickin' tag off of. The Kayas, I had to go like 7 or 8 rods back because all the first ones, which I'm assuming like Frank was showing kids were sword fighting with them, every single one had a broken rod guide, good Lord, a
Broken rod guide.
broken rod insert on the line, or the line insert. What am I
DEBO'S
talking? Is this real life? Good
Is my
Lord.
physical comedy so bad that you don't know that this is a sword fight?
I knew that. No, but my words are hard. So what I'm talking about
Debo
is
stood up. Everybody drink.
take a drink. So the
gonna have to go
actual
get a drink.
insert, the eyelet, if you can see that, the gray part. So the outside is either going to be like steel or titanium, whatever. The actual insert inside. So you'll hear people talk about like, what is Fuji's? Fuji's calls it. It's aluminum oxide is what it's made out of. They call it. Oh my God, it's driving me nuts. What is it, chat? Fuji's version of the aluminum oxide is. So there's like SICK, there's Torzite. I can't think of it.
Alkanite? No.
Alkanite.
I have no idea.
Is it alkanite?
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, which is aluminum oxide. So, but this piece, if you remember, the old ones used to be ceramic. If you remember those old inserts that were like bluish gray, and ceramic is so much softer than this stuff, and they make even harder ones, that you would wear grooves into it, right? And that's why people didn't like to fish braid. We could get off on a whole different tangent on that. But anyway, check each one of these inserts because all those were chipped. So when you run a Q-tip around it, it grabs those little hairs and fibers.
I get, yeah.
Yep. So I don't know where you're going with that, but there we go. Words are hard. And
yeah, I was just saying in reference to buying online versus buying in person. And then I think those inserts were unobtainium.
Yes, they were adamantium.
Unobtainium.
So I actually keep, speaking of, this is an arc rod. Funny enough, this was the Arc Sniper. One of the rods that I absolutely freaking loved. They stopped making. Amazing rod. Oh, and Dizzle, talking about the stuff down here, they had like grooves cut in theirs, but fit in hand of these rods probably to this day is my favorite fit in hand of any rod I think I've ever used. And they like contoured this part really high up. There's some rods that do it to like here, contour it. They contoured it all the way up and kicked it back. And this is a big reel. And that fits in my hand so good because I'm a huge like line fingerer doing this. Still to this day, even with the big 200 size reel, amazing in hand. But actually, I broke this one. This is a heavy. I broke on that 6-pound bass fishing a toad like this that I was showing you guys. Except it was one that I made over at the bait cave with Mr. Marling and Mr. Rundle. I don't know where I put that one, but it was a ploppy foot frog, and I broke it trying to lift it up the bank. So,
hey Frank, are you a left-hand retrieve or a wrong-hand retrieve?
I use both.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
On bait casters, you use both, or switching between? Because everybody uses
bait casters. I use both.
Okay.
On my spinning rods, unless somebody hands me one that has it on the right-hand side, I use left-hand retrieve.
Nice.
So Brando in the chat, Brando, awesome fishing friend out there. He went out with me the other day. Actually, we got on a frog bite. He said late to the party, I hope you discussed how important it is to wear a helmet when fishing with Debo. Yeah, there's been many a frog hook sets that have went whizzing past his head going, because I've missed the frog. Brando, thanks for the donation, brother. Appreciate you, my man. And I've got some lures for you, Brando, after we talked the other day. Okay, so we went over combos. We went over, did we leave anything else out? Oh, okay. So the Mendit frog, is this dry? It is.
How many layers have you put on there?
I think 4. I think I did 4 layers.
So when you squeeze it, is there any type of go to you, just you?
No, I like this version of us.
It's so weird.
Frank's eyes, Dizzle's backwards hat.
Any type of gap in there whatsoever where it was cut at?
Where's the solo? There we go. So it was cut right here, as you can see.
Okay.
That kind of shiny surface over it now.
Is it
but you
tacky?
can see it does not bulge out. No, it's like kind of grippy almost.
Okay.
But it's all sealed shut. That's where the hole is. So
I would say if you could get a good squeeze on there.
Plastic, is this ready?
Even if they're, how many have you done on that?
I just did the one.
Yeah, it's not going to be good enough, I don't think. Usually you have to do
another one on that, but
yeah, that's pretty good. Usually you want to do it.
I didn't do anything else, but
usually you want to do it on the cut itself and then kind of around the outside, you know?
Yeah, I just did the one inside and it seems to be holding pretty well.
Yeah.
So yeah, Mendit. That's what Mendit does. If y'all have ever wondered what we talk about Mendit and Dizzle being sponsored by it.
I was saying with your frog, if you do a little bit of a squeeze and you see that where the slice of the cut was, if it's kind of like coming apart whatsoever, you could almost do the squeeze, paint it again with another layer, and then let it go. And then that way, when it comes back together, it will.
Oh, yeah. I see what you're talking about. This one I did cover, I think, because I did.
Oh.
See you later, Debo.
What? Yeah, wrong button.
Welcome back, Debo.
Remember the first time I ran a live? It was really fun.
Tonight.
Okay, let me see. Brando, thank you for the $10 bomb, brother. Like I said, I got some lures for you. I will show you here. Randall's talking about, that's a really good point. So you can see it's all black there, but when I push it, like that gray part, you can see where it's not exactly level. And I think because I did 4 layers, it all covered it up, but that's a good point to make sure you've pushed it, stressed it.
Yeah, you want to make sure
you
want to make sure that you're getting a good like squeeze in there, or put it like a little bit of stress on it to make sure that what you're trying to seal up is actually getting sealed up and not just lipstick on a pig type of cover up thing.
Yeah, you want to make sure you rough it up and are really like hard on it. It's same for like when I tie knots. So like when I tie a knot, I'm not gentle on it. I'll give it a couple good hard pulls because I want it to snap there. Because I see some people say like when you tie a knot, you got to be real careful with it and cinch it down real easy. It's like, no, I want to cinch it down and make sure it's good and tight, because if it breaks, it's going to break in my hand, not on a fish.
Hey, unrelated, kind of related topic real quick.
I'm going to get the giveaway going. So yeah, let's
go ahead and do that. I have had, I think, 3 or 4 lures sail off during the cast because of a twisted line on the monster bass rod that I got. So throwing
like it twists around the tip or something?
Yeah. So either a chatterbait, swim jig, spinnerbait, something like that. So like 3 or 4 on that rod specifically this year alone.
Is that braid?
No, it's 12 or 14 pound mono.
I would check the tip to make sure you don't have a cracked insert or anything.
But I think I have, but I'll definitely do that again. I just didn't know, like, I have also noticed there's like, it usually gets somehow twisted over the tip when I'm like, after I've pulled it in after a reel or something like that. I don't know.
I think that's because of the micro guides. I feel like that's a micro guide thing. I feel like micro guides tend to get caught more and wrapped more. Yeah. Yeah. I've noticed that with a couple rods. I think it's the micro guides, dude. I'm not a huge fan of them. I'm really not.
And that happens so far to me when I suddenly lift the bait out of the water, whether it's just a few inches that it flies towards me or several feet.
Sure.
It'll wrap around the tip, and then I got to sit there and fiddle with it because I think, oh, it's wrapped around this way, and I get that done, and then realize
try to do
it's also wrapped around the other way.
Right. So I know that I've lost two. God, it's been at probably close to $40 in chatterbaits so far this year. So like 2 chatterbaits.
Yeah, I would definitely check the tip first.
Yeah. It was a jackhammer, slobber knocker, and there was a swim jig on there too. They knew I tossed off. But yeah, I didn't know if you would notice anything like that, or
I've noticed it on my frog
microguide
rod, but
related.
that's limp braid coming. Like when I miss a frog, I notice it does that a lot of wrap around it. I know that's definitely a braid thing, but I feel like it happens more with micro guides. Maybe that's in my head, but
my cast-offs always happen when I don't realize that the line is dug into itself with braid.
Oh,
yep, that snaps it. Yeah, braid has
it just stops when the lure is midair, and then all of a sudden the lure isn't midair because it's across the pond or across the river with no line attached to it.
Christopher, I will say yes. The scum frogs, the launch frogs, they've got a number of different. I forget which one this is. This is like they've got different. Oops, I better switch here. So hashtag frog. It's going to be a frog themed giveaway tonight. Which one do you have, Frank?
This is the launch.
Okay.
Can't remember the color. Like sloppy toad color.
Do you use the tournaments at all?
This is the only scum frog I've ever used besides the Bigfoot, the flappy leg one.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you can see the difference. I think this is a tournament. You can see kind of. I don't like these as much because the body's real slender. I actually did have a really good day. Do I have that dark green one? I've got a dark green one. I don't know if it's in here. Oh, it is. I don't know which one this one is. This broke the eyes off. It's all scraped up. This one I actually had a killer day on a few years back, and I was really skeptical of it. Now that I'm talking about that, look at that for hookup. There is no room, and I had no problems keeping them hooked. But again, if we talk about it,
yeah, I think that's. Yep.
What do you guys use when you want a small frog, like Kara size or Terminator size?
I have used the smaller Spros, to be honest. I've got a white.
The juniors?
Yeah, I think they're the 40 or 45 size.
Yeah.
You don't have any jackals on you, do you, Debo? Right close to at hand? I feel like the jackals.
Oh, I do.
The regular size jackals are smaller.
That's the same one
I like jackals.
So this is the small Spro, which is actually bigger than the Kara. If you can barely see there, if I can get it angled. Let's see, that's my, if I move that out. So you can see that's the small Spro, which is I think a 40 or 45 size, and the KR has a good small frog. And I did have a good hookup ratio on this one, had a good day on that. I think that's actually a day I was waiting for you. And
Debo, you remember the rainy day at the dink spot where you fell off the log into the water?
Yes.
Or almost into the water.
Oh,
I was using the
one, actually. Good call.
I was using that jackal that day, and I know I beat him up with it.
There's a random jig in here. Actually, that's a random Debo made jig. I don't know why, but
Debo.
Okay, so actually speaking of, so this is a scum frog. This is their popping frog. It looks really weird. It looks like an any belly button. But this is the one I was using that Randy was talking about. The hookup ratio was not great on it, though, I will say. I did bend the hooks up just a little bit on it, but I did still catch, I don't know, 30-some fish that day on this, which is crazy to think about, and it got absolutely wore out. But yeah, the scum frogs, all of them have that, which is a really neat feature. The weight is way back down in the butt. It's got a big open hole right there, and you would think it's just going to sink, but it sits. All the scum frogs sit like this, almost straight up. And I kind of like it because I can aggressively walk it back and forth. And that's something we didn't get into yet, is what is your kind of like walking or cadence? How do you fish your frog? And by far, my favorite is an aggressive side-to-side walk. Some people will chug it, meaning it sits like this and they go blub, 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 and stop.
100%.
Kind of a tight line. That's exactly 100%. What Randy does. Yep. Blub, 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 blub. And there's some days he gets better than me with that. I tend to go to a real aggressive walking side to side where it goes and kicks a little bit of water. It's also thundering and lightning out now, so if I lose power, I'm sorry, but how about you, Frank? What's your go-to frog walking cadence?
I will keep trying until something eats my damn frog.
I like that.
So I always start off walking, unless it's the sprinker or the flappy foot style, which is obviously just straight retrieve. But even with the straight retrieve ones, sometimes I'll do that same trick that I was talking about with the live target. Just pull, pause, pull, pause.
Mm-hmm.
But always start off walking, even with the popping frogs.
So I know there's been a...
Dizzle picked the Spro Frog. We all know he was lying on that. Oh, damn. That was close as hell. Did you hear that?
Yep.
That
sounded like it was right outside my window.
Stubby's pissed right now.
Luckily, he doesn't care about fireworks or loud sounds or anything. But yeah, Dizzle does love the Googie Frog. Multiple occasions I've asked, what are you using? He's like, oh, nothing. It's a Spro.
Eat me.
Booyah. Yeah. Eat me.
Eat
hunt
me.
And it's a Googie Frog.
I don't hate their frogs whatsoever. I feel like they are a good mix of like a Spro and a pad crasher. They don't turn, they don't spin around as well as the pad crashers do. And they're a little bit softer than what a Spro is. Just saying.
I completely disagree. So Patrick nailed it for me.
Really?
Too stiff. Way stiffer than a Spro for me. The ones that I've had. I do not like the body on them. I think they're too stiff. And I'll give Guggen their fair, assessment. I'm not a Guggen hater or anything. I know Dizzle's sponsored by him, so he's always going to talk good about him. But yeah, there's some Googie baits that I like and some that I don't. The frog I thought was too hard, so I agree with Patrick. But
I really think the Ren Dizzle has way too much integrity to say something is good if it's not.
I agree. So, we know Randall's not sponsored by Googie, so
I know, like we've talked in great detail about Debo, your favorite lure. Never a jig live or anything like that. But anyway, when it comes,
we
to
could do
frog,
a jig live. We'll do that next week.
Hold on. Here's the deal. Wait, no, I have an actual real life question about frogs for you.
Next week, jig. So I'm going to do winter here tonight.
It's going to be like, here's a war eagle. Use them. They're awesome.
Next week is going to be a jig fishing seminar. You don't know how many people have asked for this. So Dizzle, I'm going to expect illustrations. I'm going to expect
drawing a PowerPoint, maybe
show and tell. You're going to run it. So here it is next week. Jig, jig presentation. So there it is, folks. Get ready for next week. If you want to learn how to fish a jig from the one, the only, the Dizzle, he's running the show next week. I'm going to be co-pilot.
Extra awesome viewing pleasure, may I suggest that you use claymation?
I'm not 100% comfortable with my claymation experience to be able to share it with the world. However, I'll try.
All right.
But Debo, the question I was trying to ask before I was so rudely and bully Lee interrupted. One thing.
Hey, you can bully me next week. You're in charge next week.
Listen, what's one thing a frog that you want to throw has? So, like, if you're going to throw a frog and it can be the last frog that you're going to fish, one feature of that frog you would use. So whether it's like it comes from the factory with turned up hooks, the body's supple enough to spin out of the way, the weight's in the right spot. It's not like the older Scum frogs that had like a weird just shoved in piece of lead into the plastic where they would fall out constantly.
Too.
I'll enter all the time. But what's one thing if you had one frog to fish has to have?
Super sticky sharp hooks, hands down. Has to have really good super sticky sharp hooks. I can get away with
always
a little
sharpen
bit more.
A hook, right?
I don't always have my sharpener on me. Like the worst thing is to get out there. If I've got one frog left and I get out there and don't have it,
Yeah.
like a body that's a little bit too hard is probably number 2. But I mean, I can trim stuff. I can bend up hooks. I can do a lot of the other stuff on the fly. It's got to have super sticky sharp hooks for me.
I always am suspicious if the hook does not come super sticky sharp. Are you going to be able to get it that way and keep it that way for longer than one fish?
Oh, a lily pad dulled my hook. What the hell
Yeah.
is this going to do to a
Just
a
the leaf,
fish?
not the stalk.
yeah, exactly.
Okay, we're at 157. We need 3 more entries. It has to be 160. I like even numbers. I don't like when we're close to 1.
Carol, enter 3 more times.
Doesn't count duplicates. This has to be new people. We've got 311 people watching and only 150 entries.
Everybody should be liking this as well. Last I checked, there weren't that many likes for how many people there were. 142 likes with 306 watching.
It's an anti-Canadian
we're at 160. There we go. Okay,
I like this question here, Evo. I saw that and I was going to bring that up.
I did. That's interesting. I saw the big question. Good shout out to Jermaine. I don't know if he's still in here.
I saw my name. Oh, I saw my name again. It's going to be me. Come on. No.
Snap time.
Must be present to win.
Here? Yes, must be present to win. If you're a frank Canadian friend such as him, you'll get a gift card. I'm not going to ship you $80 worth of stuff or ship you $50 worth of stuff and pay $80 worth of shipping.
Well, it's probably not going to be $80 if it gets there the first time you send it, do you?
Oh, Frank. He's a funny guy.
Snap time. Oh, snap time's here.
Well, okay. Debo, I'm still a little bitter about it because not only was I the very last name before the winner was selected, but that winner was the one who ruined it for all Canadians by not getting their reel the first time. So.
Oh, snap. I was gonna stop anyway because it's ridiculous. Like I sent a box of plastics to a winner. I don't remember, and it was like $20-something bucks. I'm like, normal shipping I would say is like $5 to $7 around anywhere in the U.S. Now that I have a thermal printer, take it, and I use the.
How crazy is that? Considering, like some places in Canada are probably going to be way closer to like, say, Southern California or Texas or Florida, places like that.
Yeah.
Right, but it's got to go through customs and all that crap, and I'm sure which costs more, and I don't know. But snap time. Send me an email, debosfishing@gmail.com with a screenshot of your YouTube, so I know it's you, and your address, so where I can send said frog box. And if you need braid, if you're a frog guy, if you completely hate frogs and don't like frogs at all, let me know. I can do something different for you. But if you need braid, let me know. I do have some frog braid too I can hook you up with, so let me know. I will be happy to try and accommodate a little bit. So let's go back to
that question you just had up.
Question. Okay, let's get all of our ugly mugs up here. There we go. Comments.
This is a really good one.
Yeah, I barely read it, and it said something about old Debo giving advice to new Debo or something like that.
Yeah, what would current day YouTube Debo give as far as advice to just beginning YouTube Debo, I think was the question. Whoever posted that.
Whoops.
Yeah, it was very much like that, if not exactly like that.
Gosh, okay, I'm going to start paying the question. Okay, so if you've got a question, do like Michael did here real quick. I have to go back and find that other one. Type
Michael
question
Bradley,
in all
Canadian
caps.
frog, say tabernacle.
So I know you've got a question. I don't know where the other one went. Oh, here. So, Michael, I'm going to grab that question real quick. I don't know what that was. There was another one I was going to grab here. But Mr. Higgs, interesting, says, Spro Bronzeye has different softness from factors based on the colors. Printed colors are harder than the traditional molded colors.
I think I've noticed that.
I guess I've never noticed that. Now, I know that, for example, I forget what they call it, but this was the first one I seen them doing on a frog. It's like got that printed stuff into the, like to the actual rubber. So it's not like a paint that you can, like, let's say I would grab, I don't know, one of these. I don't even know who makes this one. but it's like it's paint you could take and just rub off, like that rubbery type paint on it. Whereas these are like actually printed. Like, I wish I had the do you have that Toad one, the old Toad one or whatever, Frank? I think that one, the belly of it shows. Do you have that one next to you?
No, I have very little next to me. I just have my Scum frog next to me because everything else is.
Yeah, that's the one. That's the exact.
You want this one?
Yes. So that one on the bottom of it has like a very toady detail to it, and that was one of the first ones.
Sorry, I thought we were talking about Spro.
Oh, no. I was talking about the one you've got. So if you look at the bottom of it, it's got an actual printed like honeycomb belly to it. And it's not like paint. It's, I forget what they call it in the lure making business. There's actually printers, some sort of printers that they use to put those designs on. That's one of them. So I don't think that would mess with the softness, but it's interesting that you say some of the paints. Maybe that's a thing. I guess I've never really noticed that. So
it's almost like a hydro dip type of thing, but different.
Yeah, I forget what they call it. Yeah, it's some sort of something printer deal they use on it. Okay, so
look at them this way. They're not very good looking frogs, but who cares if they catch fish?
They do catch fish. That's correct.
They're misshapen.
Frank answered that. Do Canadian frogs croak or croak? Let's see. Never heard of a Google frog. Google it, Army. You'll see it. Great. I didn't even think of bringing that up. So Frederick, I noticed you always show the color at the top of the frog, but the fish only show the bottom. Yeah, 90% of the frogs you're going to look at, and I should have brought this up earlier, are going to have all kinds of bright, cool colors. Like this is if you can see, it's like a sexy shad. It's got the shad line, the shad dot. But you're completely right. From the bottom, what's the fish going to see on the frog? White belly and a red mouth. So I will look at frogs like the one Frank was showing there. It breaks up the belly and has like an actual pattern to the belly of it. For me, if I could only pick one, hands down, 9 times out of 10, I'm just throwing an all black frog. And this is where the paint's worn off and stuff, but black on top, black on bottom. And if you're a fish looking up at that frog from the bottom, it just makes a good silhouette. Like right here, if you've got a sky and stuff like that, white, cloudy sky above, that fish is looking up on that, and that's the clouds behind it. Creates a perfect silhouette. Just a dark, doesn't look like anything, just a dark silhouette of something moving through. That's why I go with a black frog 90% of the time. Some people say a white frog. If you go to, I don't have like an Amazon color. This is one from 13. This is a really good example. Top of this, dark brown. It goes into like a yellow, cool eyes, perch looking pattern. Bottom of it, just white. So great point to bring up. Look at the bottoms. I do like something that breaks up the bottom. That's why I really like the Freak. I don't have one of those here, but the Spro Freak frog is like black with yellow, kind of lightning-y looking stuff. I guess I could share here. I do have the ability to do that. So why don't I do it?
All my frogs are in the driveway.
You should probably pick them up. You're probably going to run over them or something.
No, that'll be fine. I leave them out there for the Canadian raccoons that like to play with frogs.
They go frog fishing at night. They borrow your tackle.
A couple of years ago, we had an unusual the gizzard shad run. They normally don't make it this far up the river to get all the way up to London. And there were literally thousands of them just swimming single file in these weird circle patterns and figure 8 patterns at the Fanshawe Dam, which is in the north end of London, where I live. And I would go at night trying to catch walleye, and I'd be snagging a stupid shad all the time. Couldn't catch anything else because they were in the way. And the raccoons would just come down and they would just grab them and run off into the woods with them. And there would be dozens of raccoons gorging themselves on these gizzard shad because they had nowhere to go because they swam too far up the river and got to a dam that didn't have a fish ladder.
So I gotta say it. As you went down there to fish, is all you could hear like echoing through the woods is sorry
sorry
from the
excuse
shed.
me, sorry.
So I had to do it.
Well, as long as you don't say anything about us saying a boot, because I don't know anyone who says a boot.
I get made fun of for saying root beer. I didn't know it's correctly
That
pronounced.
reminds me. Because
Root
of you,
beer?
my son says root beer now.
It's root beer. That's correct. Your son says it correctly.
Root
Good
beer.
for him. It's root beer.
But I
Oh, God,
remember
I don't know where that
distinctly, I'm
question
still trying to
went.
find the video, but one time you said root beer, and I've been trying to find the video, but you have so many, I haven't found it yet.
I've been trying to catch myself, like it's like subconsciously, because I used to work with a guy that made fun of things that I always like said wrong. Like
Yeah.
for the longest time, I said seen, which is a past tense. Like,
Yeah,
oh, I seen
instead
that
of
movie
saw.
last night. Yeah, instead of saw, and he always
Yeah.
used to rip on me for that. Root beer was one of them.
Like you went
Yeah, but
camping. 'cause
there
it
are
was
many
past
Americans that say rough instead of roof and root instead of root. So I don't think
say
you're saying
root.
it wrong. I think it depends on where you live and who your friends
Yeah.
were when you were a kid that you learned your accent from. So
Yep. Like pop, like the whole pop thing. Like I call it pop. Some people call it
Yeah.
cola,
we call it
soda,
pop.
Coke.
And the who is it? The people in Georgia, they call
the
everything
South.
Coke.
Found it.
Everything's a Coke.
That's just wrong.
A Pepsi is not a Coke.
Which Coke is the superior pop brand anyway, but
I prefer it.
okay,
as well.
so interesting here. Explore more fishing. So, Debo, what advice would current day Debo YouTuber give to beginner Debo YouTuber? I would say the biggest piece of advice would have been get a computer sooner. So, for the first year of YouTube, I don't know if many people really know this. For the first year of YouTube, I edited all my videos and everything on a GoPro app on my phone. And to edit a regular video was probably like 2.5, 3 hours to do like a regular video. Now it takes me about an hour. It eats a bunch of time, depending on the video, of course. But not only that, but the harder part was moving all the footage because I had to save it to the GoPro thing, download it to my phone. It took forever. Now I just take like, do I have one of the things? So you pull like the little memory cards out of your GoPro, put it into one of these readers, put it in here, stick it in my computer, pull it all off in, I don't know, an hour, 45 minutes, something like that. It would take like 2 hours just to get the footage on my phone and another like 2, 3, 4 hours to edit on my phone. That was for the first like year. Now I wasn't doing like 2, 3 videos a month or a week. I was doing like 1 or 2 videos a month, but yeah, that was the first piece. As far as like content and stuff, like if you're really serious in YouTube, I think a really, really big factor is being consistent on a schedule and doing as much as you can, quality as much as you can. I know that I've obviously backed off on videos with family stuff and personal things going on to like a video, maybe 2 a week. And my numbers have dropped quite a bit as far as views, subscribers and stuff compared to when I was doing, religiously 3 videos a week. Huge difference. So.
Hey, Debo, what type of recommendation would you have for somebody that's got like 16 terabytes worth of fishing videos that they haven't done anything with? Asking for a friend.
This would be my advice. Get used to YouTube, get used to your face, and frickin' do it. Do videos of just you.
Oh, I was just looking over because when I was getting ready. I got this little arm for the boom, or this little boom mic for my thing, and I couldn't find the little grippy part that I need to like hook it to the table that I use. But listen.
Listen, you've got enough footage where you could probably be a full year of videos without doing anything.
Without going out and getting any more new footage.
Yeah. Without fishing for a full year, you could probably have a full year of videos, doing 2 videos a week, probably.
The thing that I'm like, so like I can't, pisses me off so much is like as I'm going through all these videos and stuff, all this footage that I've recorded, is like I catch myself like I'm sitting there listening to my earpod and I'm just singing to myself or like singing along with the music that I'm listening to as I fish. So it's me terribly singing in the video and then getting pissed off at broken lines.
Oh God, G-Fan used to do it when it was on video from tape. Oh my God, I bet.
Oh,
G-Fan, what's up, man? How are you, my friend? G-Fan, I've not forgotten about your bait. I do still have a bait for you, and your I've got a little tip for you too for some dough that you did not need to give me. Debo had to edit out all the Dizzle cussing. Dizzle, who do you think cusses more? In all honesty, me or you?
I think it's
even.
It's probably like 60 40 55 45. I think I'm probably a little bit more than what you are.
Yeah, we both do curse a lot. I had a members only before this. I let a few slide. I do curse a lot, but on my lives and my videos and stuff, I try to keep it PG. I know, people with their families and stuff watch. So
I remember I felt really, really, really bad on one of your lives when the Burley guys were on, the Burley boys, and I dropped an F-bomb. I wasn't even thinking, I wasn't paying attention, and somebody asked a question and I just said it, and I was just like, and the full on dropped it, and the Burleys were like,
oh, he did it. Yeah, we didn't get demonetized. It was okay.
It was deep into the live, so I wouldn't think that we would.
Yeah, Randy, I agree there. I called it crick. I've grown up calling it a crick. Grew up calling it a crick. It's crick to me.
Crick.
Okay, so do we have any other frog questions? We're an hour and a half. Frank, hopefully you were good with going an hour and a half. I didn't ask if you had a time to be off.
No, I am a night owl, so if we were still going at this time tomorrow, I'd be okay.
Frank, I know we talked a little bit at the very beginning. You just started getting into like 6th Sense frogs and things like that. Overall, what if you had to choose one method you could only fish going forward? Obviously, Debo's going to be a frog guy. I'm going to be a jig guy. You had one option to choose. What would be your one option for fishing the rest of your days?
Harpoon.
Harpoon.
No,
like, are you talking?
Are we talking like Moby Dick, like the cool ones where that's got like the old iron like cross thing that you have to aim it with?
Yes, from hell's heart I stab at thee.
Yes. Are you talking chainsaw the ice, wait for the pike to come along, harpoon?
That would potentially be fun, but obviously it's not much of a catch and release technique.
Sure.
So I'd have to be fishing someplace where the fish would not be full of mercury or whatever else they're full of. But
are you much of an ice fisherman?
I spend as much time on the ice as possible. This past winter, it was 2 consecutive days, and that was it.
Really?
Yep. We got safe ice really, really late, and then it warmed up a lot, and
no kidding.
It was just 2 days in a row. So
I always wondered, being that much further up north, what's your average ice like around here? If we get like 24 inches, I would say 18 to 24 inches, Debo, wouldn't you say that's really thick ice for around this area?
Nah, we get, up north, like I'll go up to chap the thing.
Bang, bang, bang.
Yeah, I would say like 2 foot is like good ice, 2 to 3-ish, 20, 30 inches. We had like places with big huge huts and trucks and bringing out their ice shanties, and you were up there. That was the day we all caught perch, me, you, and Dad. Yeah.
Yeah. That was that was maybe 20, 18, 20, something like that.
Think so?
Yeah.
I bet it was 2
100%.
foot. Yeah, maybe you're right. Anyway,
Frank,
2-ish.
What's the ice on a regular ice fishing season? What type of ice?
For us here in London, because we're so close to the Great Lakes, the winters are a little milder, so we would get 12 to 18.
Okay.
So not something I would want to drive on, but
oh no, hell no.
No, the lakes that are frequented most by people from all over the province, like Lake Simcoe, they get enough ice that people are out there with their huts for the whole winter, and they drive out to them with their trucks and everything else.
Follow-up question: If you're an ice fisherman and you're a fan of it, what's the thinnest ice you've been out on?
I won't go out on it if it's less than 4 inches because I have family to get back to.
Yeah, no, totally understandable. When I was much younger and more stupid, there was one year we went out. I want to say it was probably 3 inches, but it was super clear, solid ice.
Yeah.
And I remember catching fish and watching them swim around underneath the ice, and just like feeling like, okay, I know if we go through the ice here, this water's maybe 6 foot deep, so we shouldn't die right away.
It shouldn't die.
Yeah.
They're one of the Canadian YouTubers I watch is Clayton Schick, and a lot of his content is heavy on the ice fishing, but he also does a lot of walleye and lake trout fishing because he lives in Saskatchewan, where there is only one body of water where he can bass fish. And one of his videos, the opening of it was awesome because he was on his skates and he was skating on crystal clear ice, chasing the fish that were trying to get away from him.
That's awesome.
That's awesome.
I've seen guys skating on ice that looks like it looks like there should be something that they're standing on, but the ice is just so clear and so
crystal
perfect.
Clear. It's awesome.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So, Michael,
did you hear me say jig when you asked what's the one thing that I would fish for the rest of my life?
I wasn't going to bring it back up because Debo gets a little. You see the eye roll, the head.
The number of people in here that
everyone.
Yeah, we agree with Dizzle. Yeah, jigs are so good. Dizzle, we love you.
No. Dizzle agrees with me.
Yeah.
Oh,
what
that's
is it?
The only person we've ever said that. Wow. Okay.
What Mike Dove said tube. And besides him, I think everybody else probably said, well, the Burley guys say Ned. So like 93.5%, I think, if I'm doing my math correctly, say
hey, that'll be great because
life.
next week, everybody, jig presentation by Randall. Everything you want to know about fishing a jig. I'm talking like
you guys
like
remember how fun the fishing license trivia was? Just be prepared.
Yeah, be prepared. This will be just as good as the license trivia. Oh my god. Okay, so Michael, I will say real quick, yes, I have replaced these. So actually, these are the lunker hunts. Funny enough, I really like the frogs, but they had those stupid like dumb plastic frog feet legs on the back. Rip those off. They pull out of the back, and then if you just take a wire, I'm sure there's easier ways to do this, but I just take a wire, run it through both of these holes, and then just take I've got jig skirting material, but you could take like an old spinnerbait skirt or anything, tie like 2 knots in the middle, and then wrap it around the wire and pull the wire back through, and that'll leave you with this. And then you tie the 2 knots in the middle, because if you don't tie any knots, they would just pull straight through. Actually, I could show you this here. Oh, this one I only did one. I just tied one big knot and it stays in there. I mean, you've got to pull it pretty hard, but that's what I did to this one too.
Maybe throw a little mended in there also.
Ooh, shoot. Yeah, you could do that. The frog, like, look at that. Talk about 2 big old harpoons. The frogs themselves, lunker hunts are good. Just the dumb legs they got to get rid of. So both of these were ones. I did exactly that. So that's all it takes is some skirting material with a knot or 2 tied in it and just pull it right back through there. So yes, you can definitely replace those. You can even actually do, now that we're talking about this, you can do the hooks too. So if you've never looked inside a frog, if you don't know what it looks like, you can buy the
I think
frog
I did
hooks
in
themselves.
7th grade science class.
Ooh, yeah, dissecting a frog. That was interesting. This is what it looks like. It's on I don't know what you would call this.
Like a swivel?
It's not a swivel. It's just a solid piece and it wraps around it. So this piece, the frog hook itself is not joined together. So there's a gap in between and this piece comes off. So if you ever get a hook or if you buy frogs that are complete junk and the hooks suck, they come like this. The hook in the middle is like so. And then you throw these out. Berkeley sells them. I'm sure Gamakatsu sells them. You just run this piece up the hook again.
Trokar sells them.
Yes, Trokar does sell them. They're scary sharp. You just run it back up there and that's it. And then again, I do the exact same thing when I'm threading it in. I take a piece of wire, put it up through the, I guess, rear end hole, put it through the mouth, and then tie that. Oh, God, help me.
Hey, you dropped something.
Tie it to the wire and then pull it back.
Free.
Actually be the other way. I would put it through the mouth, I guess, like this, tie it to it, and then pull it back through. So You can replace the hooks or the skirting material. Probably should have run over that at the beginning. Good question, but yes, you can do that. I actually did have to do that. Those Terminator ones, I put the trocars on it.
Would you like to
got?
hear why as much as I love fishing the frog, I would have to pick the jig?
I'm sure Dizzle would.
Yes,
please.
I'd rather kick you from the stream by saying there's something better to fish than the frog, but go ahead.
Well, it's not that there's something wrong with the frog. It's that I cannot skip a stupid frog to save my life, but I can skip a jig.
Really?
No problem. Yeah.
I find the frog really easy to skip.
Yeah, when I skip it, it'll skip once, and on the second, it'll bounce off randomly, left, right, straight up. You know, I can't get it to go where it's supposed to go, so it ends up wrapped around low-hanging limbs and crap, and just makes me angry.
You know, the bad thing about the frog is you can vary your retrieve, but I'm not trying to further the jig bandwagon here, but you can do so many different things with a jig. I mean, just being honest, you can bounce it, you can hop it, you can drag it, you can swim it, you can really do anything with it. So Debo, I'm going to need
Topwater jig.
Yeah, just like Bubba would say, pan fried, butter sauteed.
You can drag it,
grill.
you can hop it. You can.
The really annoying thing is I can
That's
skip things with
bait.
treble hooks on them, but I can't skip a frog.
Oh yeah.
So I can
Really?
skip a popper.
Yeah.
I can skip a popper. I can skip a lipless.
I can't skip
a frog.
I can't skip to save my life.
So it's
Matthew.
it's not your beloved frog, Debo. It's me.
Here we go, Matthew.
That black one, is that a Z-Man?
It is. This is
or
the
Zoom?
Z-Man. This or Zoom. Sorry, yes, Zoom.
Zoom.
So this is the biggest frog I have fished. So here's that little tiny card just to give you a size comparison. This is the Zoom one. Yeah, it's got like, I don't know why it has a third leg.
I don't know either, but I've actually had decent luck on them.
Maybe it's just so they can hear YouTubers say third leg, I guess, on lives. I don't know. I just realized that after I said it, but they call him old tripod. So yeah, I would cut these off to make it like all three the same. I did fish it just to see. Walk super good. Again, you'll notice kind of like that the Vega frog, that long slender profile. Walks great. I fished it, casts really well, obviously because it's big. Didn't catch anything on it. Didn't fish it very long. I ended up going back to the. I think that was the exact same day that actually it was, Randy. That was the exact same day that you and I were fishing the spot where we usually go out on the little. Oh, it's up here. Where did I put that one? Anyway, I went back to the river to see one where we fished the little jetties with jigs. It was that year that it was all grassy and we were catching them on the frogs that year.
Debo, do you mind if I take us frog adjacent for a second?
Sure, go ahead.
Right.
Steer us.
Nick Rodriguez.
Oh, jigs. Sorry, go ahead.
No, Nick Rodriguez some time ago. And Nick, by the way, every time I see your name when I'm not a guest on the live stream, I always pronounce it Rodriguez because I think that's funny. But he said, now that we've got frogs covered, what about toads? And for me, the toad as a alternative to the frog is when I want to be able to kill it and have it sink down so that the fish thinks that he smacked it and has stunned whatever it was that he blew up on but didn't quite get in his mouth.
So do you only get a toad? Sorry, I don't know my terminologies too well and names of stuff. But are you only running across a toad when you get like a hard, not a hard plastic, but a solid plastic bait? Or can you get a toad hollow body also?
I think a toad hollow body would just be a flappy leg frog.
Or would that that Zoom frog that Debo just held up, would that be a toad because it's bigger? Or I would almost think that the river to sea, the bigger frogs that they have, that would almost be considered a toad in my book. I don't know. I don't know.
The toads are soft plastic and they have legs that kick. These ones are from my buddy Wes, who's often in the chat, but he isn't tonight. So because they are plastic, unless it's Z-Man, Elastec. If you kill it, it sinks. And I like using that,
Right.
like I said, for when I want the fish to think that it stunned whatever it was that it hit. So the belly weighted hook or the EWG without the belly weight, which often for me comes in upside down when I retrieve it. So
Do you do like a single hook or the double hook on those?
I use the singles on all the toads that I use. I can't think of any that I would use a double with, although there's that Berkeley one. I can't remember what it's called. They have a double hook for that.
Have you used the Strike King Raid Shad? I think it is. It's just got one big flappy tail on the back end of it.
No.
Never used it.
No.
I've had insane
the Raid toads I have, but
yeah, I think it's the Raid Shad, and I've had insane luck with those, and the pike just love them.
Yeah.
They don't last that long either way.
What lasts long when you're fishing for pike?
Right.
So,
do you really hate pike, or you're okay with pike?
No, I love pike. I intentionally target them. Well, the season for them is so much longer, and they eat all the same things that the bass eat.
Right.
And if it is colder water, they put up a good fight and they release well. But I hate catching them in the summer because they are a cool water fish and they don't release well when the water is bathtub warm. So,
right. Do you despise or do you love the stink that comes off of them? Debo loves it. I hate it.
I am indifferent. If
I use it as beard cream too. Once I fish them, I give it a little.
I smear it on my chest and then climb into bed with Heather and
honey, smell me. That's success, honey. That smells.
Okay, so this is a real question for you. Are there any tips or tricks that you have? Because I assume you catch pike probably more often than the majority of people that are in the chat right now, of actually catching them and safely removing hooks, not only for the fish, but for yourself. I know Debo one time thought turkey gloves were a good idea. I know I do the little Berkeley plastic crimper things, and those seem to work well. You can get the pike's mouth open.
Yeah,
it's pretty safe for yourself. Is there anything that you have for tips?
I typically just get my finger in past the I don't know what part on the lower jaw that is, but you get your finger in there and you can press on the top of the upper jaw where there isn't a bunch of razor sharp teeth, and you can hold it open that way. But if the fish is too big or it's too deep, will
slice you all over.
Yes, but you got to stay away from
Winkleman led me down the wrong path about the razor sharp gill plates one year when I was a younger lad as well.
But if it's really deep because it's a big fish, I just get the jaw spreaders. And the reason for that is I want to get the hooks out as quick as possible and get it back in, because the big ones often, but not always, are just finding what is supposed to be for the bass in the middle of summer. And even if the flight is only 5.5 seconds long, I have to stand in the pond with them for 10 or 15 minutes before they can swim off on their own. And
I know bass.
I was thinking that I've killed the fish. So
right. I know bass are a pretty resilient fish. I've caught bass with hooks down their gullet, and I know Debo's caught them where their hooks are actually passed and coming out of the fish. Are pike that resilient also, or are they?
No, they're closer to musky in terms of not releasing well unless conditions are ideal.
Okay.
So same thing with musky. If you are fishing for them in warm water and you make them fight for too long, then they're not going to release well. They possibly will not release at all. Yeah. It's the same thing with the pike. Same thing with the musky. I would like to know if pickerel are the same, but I don't.
Yeah, I was just gonna say I don't know. I don't think I've ever caught a pick roll.
A prick roll.
Plenty of pike.
I go fishing with one all the time. His name's Debo.
Exactly.
Hey, listen, Randy can pick on me next week when he's in charge. None of that, Frank. Okay, so real quick, spreaders. I agree with Frank. I got a pair of these, and these are lifesavers. So they clip like this, so it's just a little deal like this. So you've got the pike mouth here. When you catch them like with a frog or whatever, oftentimes they'll just clamp down. You can't get in there. So you just take these, put it inside the mouth, and then you undo it like that. Put it inside there, and then it spreads those open. That way their mouth is spread open so they can't close it. And get your hook in there, do all your stuff, pop it out. So that's why I carry these. Very handy. Much better than the turkey gloves, as Randy alluded to. Toes,
God,
yes.
He caught a giant pike, and he's like, "Get the gloves! Get the gloves!" And I run up and get.
They were
the gloves
supposed to be
and
grippy. They were supposed to be grippy, but the problem with pike is, you can grab them in there, but they're so slippery, like they're so slimy. And they were supposed to be real grippy gloves. They were jank, so we just learned to tough it up. And sometimes they cut your hands up, and that's kind of why I like it. Like I feel like a lot of people don't want to mess with it because they're like, "Oh, I'm gonna get cut." Like I like getting there dirty and slimy and bloody and just pike fishing. I don't know, gets me going.
Man.
I hate when my net smells like the pike, though.
Oh,
imagine grabbing a hold of the pike in your hand. And you take the hook out and he slips out of your hand, and then all of that slime is everywhere. Not only is that bad for the pike, terrible for the boat.
Lucky for me, I don't fish from a boat. I just I step into the water with the pike and unhook them and let them go.
Okay, so toads. Yes, toads are going to be your soft plastic. So if you think back, I think the Zoom horny toad, I could be wrong, but I think that was probably the breaker of ice when it comes to toads. Zoom horny toad, which is essentially this one. This is actually the Berkeley one. And talking again about that print, remember that printer stuff I was talking about? That's exactly what they did here. They used that lure printer to get this on it. It's not a colored plastic. It's that printer stuff. So it's got the 2 kicky feet back here, a number of different ones. This is actually kind of a cool one I haven't used yet, but it's a Venom lures. I've not used their stuff, but the legs are longer and a lot more flappy as opposed to this one. You can see them more erect, as just like barely the feet.
Third leg erect.
Hey, listen, we're talking about toads here. So yeah, that's going to be those soft plastics. Now, when I was talking about hooks, these were some of the trocars. When you buy them, they're just going to be those hooks like I showed you guys. And I like to fish these. So when you buy the frog hooks, it's a 2-prong hook like this, and then it's got a screw in on the nose. So I have a better hookup with those because you screw it in the nose of it, and then usually your 2 hooks will come right here at the back of the legs, and you can like texpose it there. So it's completely weedless. That's how I fish mine, but quick toad lesson there, I guess.
The reason why I don't use the double hooks is because of all the times it'll roll and just there's just enough of the point sticking out that it'll catch on the stupid lily pad stem.
Yeah, that's why I get the weighted. These are either an 1/8 or a 16th, so it's got a little belly weight on it.
Yeah.
So that way it keeps it belly down, so you don't have that problem grabbing as much. It does still happen. You're right; they will kind of pop out, but
yeah, it's when you're pulling it over the top of the lily pad that it flops over and it's coming in upside down, and you think, oh, no problem, there's open water, and then snag. So. Oh,
gee darn there, I got a problem. Sorry. That's the best.
Oh my God.
I can give you.
I got to bring this up just because you did that.
Ella's in here. What's up, Rich?
Back in the day, when me and old Johnny usually we'd get together and we would listen to or watch, Saturday morning fishing shows, not cartoons, fishing shows. But you would turn on Outdoor Network, whatever it may be, or whatever, and they'd have these commercials. And at the time, the big motor was the Mercury Verado. And there'd be like guys apparently trolling for, I assume, walleye. And there'd be these guys in this little rinky-dink boat, probably what me and Debo would be out fishing in. And the other guys were in this big, super nice, offshore fishing boat. And they're fishing with their Mercury Verado, and the guys are like, "Oh, you guys have any luck today?" Like super Canadian accent. And the other guys are like, yeah, we caught a bunch. And they pull out these huge ass walleyes. And the other guys in the janky boat, they're like, oh, he's not even using his kicker, eh? Mercury Verado. That would be the whole thing. Good times, good times. I guess you had to be there.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Good story. Yeah, real good story there, Andy. You can tell more of those next week when you do your jig seminar. I'm sure we'll go over like a lead fishing license trivia. Hey, it's gonna be christening by blood. We're gonna rake you over the coals, and we're gonna christen you in so much on that live that you're gonna be so immune to what anybody would say.
Hey,
you're gonna have a year's
Explore
worth
More
of footage.
Fishing has a great question for you guys. Fishing lily pads. Do you drag the lures through them, or do you just focus on the edges? Or I would even add then the gaps, the bigger gaps when fishing lily pads.
Send it right into the middle and start reeling. Let it fall down if there's any place for it to fall down, and if not, the fish will come up and grab it, even if it's not a frog.
So don't mind the gaps, don't mind the edges, just full send.
If it's something that absolutely cannot go into the lily pads, like treble hook baits, then it's got to be the edges. But speed worms, Texas rig speed worms, swim jigs, even frogs, toads, just chuck it into the middle. One of my favorite things is when I see a gap and I throw it past the gap and I'm just pulling it through and it comes up and over and then it drops in and then all I see is lily pads parting because this huge fish is going towards the lure. And that's one of my favorite ways to catch them. Yeah. You see his lily pad just parting and coming back together because there's a big fish under.
I think my favorite part of topwater fishing, primarily frog fishing, because you're usually in closer, lot shallower water traditionally, maybe, is seeing that wake. The wake is just something that you see it and you're like, oh, did you see? And then you just give it maybe like a little twitch and then you get that explosion. I love seeing the wake.
The visual stimulation on topwater it just adds to it. Carlitos, real quick, with the $1.99 bomb. Thank you, my friend. But just caught his first frog fish. Even more of a congrats on that, dude. Awesome, man. Hopefully you're hooked, pun intended, and you love frog fishing because
his profile picture not only has a toad in it, it looks kind of similar to Debo. Did you just donate money to yourself, Debo, just then, or no?
Yeah, that's my alter ego, alter personality. Tackle Talk in the house, Andrew. I don't know if you're still in here, but what's up, my guy? I saw he broke the top. I think he broke top 10 on outdoor podcasts, which is effing awesome. That deserves a real F bomb. Yeah, man. Congratulations on that, dude. Let's see. There was another couple other questions.
Type F in chat to show respect. It's a Call of Duty reference. Never mind.
Oh, I didn't know that one. Let's see.
You got to bust out the GoldenEye references for Debo.
Yes.
Nobody.
Here's a quick GoldenEye reference. If Randy would have been part of my crew back in high school, he for sure would have been the guy that picked Odd Job all the time.
It has been scientifically proven that GoldenEye messed up the character of Oddjob because he is nowhere near that short in real life or in any of the movies. He is a full-grown person, not a little person like they portray him in GoldenEye. Just saying.
I'm just saying you would have picked the cheater one where the autofocus doesn't go down. And
I wouldn't. The only thing I would have done is put on paintball mode. That's the only thing I knew how to do.
SD tassel frog. Oh my god, I'm so far behind on comments. All right, let's each do one more question. We've still got 217 knuckleheads watching us. You guys and gals need to get more of a Saturday night thing going on if we're your entertainment.
Kevin says Odd Job ... slappers only for the win.
Oh god, I freaking hate it, dude. We would take random turns. So we would stay. Here's when life was good. You know those memes that it's like you never knew life was this good in the moment, and you're never going to go back to it. We had a big 8-person tent, and we'd have like coolers out there with Surge and Dr. Pepper and combos and all kinds of stuff. And we would run
Combos?
Oh, dude, the little combo, like the
little pretzel things. Okay.
Oh
okay.
my god, so good.
I don't know why you put combos in your coolers, but okay.
Well, no, I just meant we'd have like a bunch of snacks and coolers out there, and we would stay up all night playing GoldenEye tournaments. And
in your tent?
In the tent, we'd run electricity out there. That way we couldn't mess with anybody. We'd put a tent up in the backyard, run electrical cords, extension cords out there. Dude, it was so much fun. And I don't know where I was going with that story, but
would you be like,
I missed those days.
Would it be split screen, or would you do like a LAN?
Because yes, so we would do LAN. We had multiple TVs. We would do teams on sides of the tent. What I was going to say is
you're just going to cheat.
Yeah, otherwise you just like Randy would do when we played multiple player. He would just watch my screen the whole time. We would take turns picking. That's what I was going to go to, and that was always the worst. Was slappers only. I hated when anybody picked that. My favorite was pistols.
Slappers only in the library.
Rockets and stack was fun. Proximity mines in what was the one with all the big tanker canisters? Facility. Proximity mines and facility. Yes. I want to say. Mm-hmm. Oh God, such good days. Okay, anyway, each of us pick a question. Frank, you got a frog related question or anything else as we're leading out here? What do we got for a question?
No. I wasn't paying close enough attention.
Not at all.
Final.
Frank,
just go first.
Are we that boring, Frank?
Yeah, Debo, go first.
Huh? Yeah. What? What are we doing? Okay, let's see. What do we got?
I'm just looking
the power bait noodling gloves. Oh my gosh. Good call, dude.
You see, the problem is, Debo, that people keep talking about root beer and making South Park references and stuff, and I just forget about what we're talking about. So,
and putting in
it's Brendan's fault.
Frags or
Whispers is derailing the live stream.
Let's see. What do we got for questions? Come on, give us some questions
Debo
to end the day here.
Third Amish, I think.
I am not. I do not practice the Amish or midnight ways. I am an electricity and car driving fool. Let's see. Oh God, Joey said 216 watching now. Boss just caught me watching and not working. Better dust off the resume. Joey, do not do that. Go back to work.
Hey, I got one.
Okay.
Michael Bradley at 925 question. Have you ever tried threading something other than skirt material? I.e. a finesse worm? For your leg replacement, I assume, is what he's asking.
Oh, hold on real quick. Psychic. Yeah, you're right. We didn't. That wasn't until the Xbox days, I want to say. It was Xbox LAN. Good call. No, he's right. I think we didn't have to play on one TV. We had to bring the big TV up for that. I think it was Xbox we had to do the LAN. Is that right?
Wasn't Nintendo 64 and PlayStation at the same time? So I remember playing PlayStation Doom LAN style-y. Okay. Hey, sorry guys. I apologize. Do I need to show you some old Nintendo? I have Gremlins 2.
No, I agree. Now that's gonna drive me nuts.
Gremlins 2 inbox over there on the.
Okay, yeah, it was Halo.
Halo
must have been what it was then. There we go. Sorry, Psychic. Okay, good call out. Thank you for correcting us. That was Halo.
So my fishing question.
Hold on, one real quick. I still remember Xbox. The first time I ever played online with a headset, which blew me away, was Ghost Recon, and I couldn't believe that you could talk to other people online, and I was absolutely out of my mind. So, Psychic, thanks for the call out. Thanks for correcting us. It had to, it must have been Halo then. I knew one of them we had multiple stuff because we still would set up the tent and do that then. That's how big of nerds we were to keep the tradition going, but. Okay. So anyway, what were we talking about? Randall, what was your fishing question? We got a donation here. I don't know what Randy's doing. He must have to go pee or something.
No, I didn't.
Jared. Oh, he's still there. Jared, have you tried the Z-Man toads yet? Yeah, I actually did bring those out. I was going to say that. So speaking of, thank you for saying that, Jared. I haven't fished them normally, but if we're talking about toads, buzz baits, this on the back of a naked, I call them a naked buzz bait. So without the skirt, just this on it, the plastic, really, really good. And these are the bigger 4-inch I liked.
I was just
so
gonna.
Never tried that.
I was just gonna confirm my. Oh geez, I was gonna confirm my electronic nerdisms. Gremlins 2 on the NES, Sonic 3, and what is that? Wolverine, both on the Sega. Just saying.
Dang.
Boom. Bam, bam, bam. Gremlins 2 was awesome because you got to use like this little paper clip and matches to make a bow, like what's his name did. Anyway, 925, Michael Bradley asked, have you ever tried threading something other than skirt material, i.e. a finesse worm?
What? Like putting a hook into it?
No. So you take your lunker hunt, I guess, frogs that have the stupid legs. Once those pop out,
legs?
have you ever tried? Yeah, I assume that's what he's asking.
Oh, no, I have not. I have seen people add, actually, the 13 fishing one that I showed you guys. This one, I have seen guys take out regular legs and essentially copy what 13 did and add some of the flashaboo, like the tinsel.
Put on
this
some
stuff like really
legs.
flashes in the sun. So I have seen people do that, but no, I have not tried anything besides just regular like jig skirting spinnerbait material. So
I will say, as easy as Debo made it sound, just squeeze the sides and break the glue and pull out the old stupid stanky legs and put something else in there. It's a lot harder, at least for myself, than what he describes it as.
Sounds like user error to me.
More than likely, yes.
I think what you should probably do with the next one is thread an Alabama rig through and then attach a bunch of other frogs onto the arms of the Alabama rig.
Oh my gosh.
Do you guys have restrictions up there in America's Hat as far as how many hooks you can have on an Alabama rig?
Yes, it varies from province to province because
okay, same here.
Instead of departments of natural resources for each state, we have ministries of natural resources for each province, and they're the ones who make the rules. So Manitoba, for instance, all hooks must be barbless, whereas we're allowed to have barbs here. It's a good idea to have barbless hooks if you can keep the pressure on and get the fish in, because less chance of you massively injuring yourself or the fish, or you don't ruin as many clothes and nets when the stupid hook gets stuck. But I don't think they care so much about your clothes and your net. It's probably for the sake of quickly releasing fish and not having people tearing chunks of their flesh off as they try and get the barb back in.
Agree. I just don't know.
You need that braid trick with the barbless hook.
I don't know. Debo did that to me in one of his videos once. Have you, barbed hook, sorry.
I remember that video. Okay, on 3. Ready? 1, yank.
Yes. It's the relief that it caused was amazing. I wanted to hug him at that time, maybe kiss his face. I don't know. I don't understand the idea or the concept of restricting how many hooks you can have on an Alabama rig. Is there like logic or reasoning behind it, or?
It makes no sense. None whatsoever.
You can just catch too many fish if you do that, or?
Yeah, if you have that many hooks, like you're just going to catch 5 when you bring them in. Yeah, it literally makes no sense. I don't understand it.
So go ahead.
Randall Williams Sully asked about the blades or, stuff. I've got one of the Spro ones that has the 2 blades. Now that you say that, I have not used it, but this is I forget which one it is. It's Teckle. So this piece is a swivel on it. It's like the Sprinker, except it's got a flashy thing back here that flops and then very loud, like clackery thing. I haven't caught anything on it for what it's worth, so maybe it's a dumb idea, but that's the one.
Have you used it much?
I have used it, yeah, when I was getting bites on the Sprinker, in fact. and didn't get bites on that. So I don't know if it was too loud, but dude,
do you think it
Sprinker,
wasn't loud
I
enough
never used one.
or a weird sounding loud?
I don't know. Like the Sprinker is just cool because it's like a whopper plopper that you can fish around all the heavy stuff. The only time this sucks is it's a swivel here. So if it's like the real slimy, hairy algae, it gets caught up all in this and doesn't work.
And the only other bad thing about it is you have to sing radioactive when you fish it, regardless of the color of the little flapper thing.
All right. Well, on that note, since we're back to the radioactive thing, we're making circles.
It was only 3 hours ago. Come on.
That's all right. Listen, we're getting out of here for the night. Frank, anything to say to end the night? Thank you for joining us, my friend.
No, I was very happy to have you respond favorably when I said, "Hey, why don't you have me on next week?" So,
sure, absolutely, pleasure. You're always a good supporter. Always lighting up the chat. I don't like it that you're in here and taking away the picking on Dizzle. But hey, listen, reminder: next week there's going to be a jig presentation led by Dizzle. Get your questions to him. Don't message me. Message Dizzle on the Instagrams. He'll probably ghost you like he did me when I asked about some stuff.
I only do that to Debo. Don't worry, guys.
I didn't read it. So listen, we're getting out of here. I love y'all. Dizzle, I pick on you, but I love you, brother. It's all in good fun. We will be back next week, and I'm going to hold you to it. I think we need to do a Dizzle jig seminar of some sort we can put together.
We'll figure something out.
All right. We'll plan on that for next week. Otherwise, we're out of here. We'll see you again next Saturday. Love you all. Thanks for watching. And until next weekend.